us?
Sure. Please place a flag and place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Gerson. Before we proceed, I want to remind everyone that in accordance with LA County Department of Public Health, each person attending a Torrance Unified School District Board meeting is required to wear a face mask that properly covers both the mouth and nose for the duration of their time within the meeting location. Thank you very much for all of you for complying with the law. And this statement I earlier read is stated very clearly in our agenda tonight. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And actually, tonight is the first night that we have back in this beautiful new boardroom. Upgraded, not exactly fully remodeled, but finally we don't have to fight for electrical outlets here. All right, and this is coincidentally my last board meeting as the president. I look forward to, I have no concern about my vice president, James Hahn, taking over at our next board meeting as the president. Look forward to that. All right, item number 7, there are no report from closed session action items. 8, staff presentation and information. Can we have an introduction of the student representative to the board for the second quarter 2021 to 2022 and the report by student representative? Dr. Egan?
Yes, you may. Thank you, Mrs. Liu. Good evening, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce Torrance High School's ASB president, 12th grader Ian Hahn. Ian is currently the president of CSF as well. He's also a member of the National Honor Society, Tartar Knights, and Key Winds. Ian is also the president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and plays soccer and baseball, both of which he has done for his entire high school career. So with that, I'd like to introduce Ian Hahn, who will share some news from Torrance High School.
Thank you, Dr. Egan. Despite all the circumstances of COVID this year, school has been very exciting and Torrance High School has had many successful events. We kicked off the year with the senior sunrise at the football field early in the morning, and we had a huge attendance. This got many seniors going, and many went all out for a traditional senior freshman buddy week. Many freshmen had a great time and got comfortable at Torrance High School. We didn't only want to engage freshmen, but we really wanted to engage the whole school. So following the senior freshman buddy week, we tried something new and had a Tartar team week where we had a senior group up with a student from every grade to do events together, such as getting pizza or going to a football game. The energy was great following this event, and we had our largest Hoko ever at Torrance High School with around 1,200 people in attendance. We also had a very successful all-school night rally at Zamperini Stadium, and we had big turnouts to all the snack and lunch rallies we have planned. The energy has been great, and we've been working really hard to get the most out of the school year despite the restrictions we have faced because of COVID. In addition to all the good things that have been happening at Torrance High School, I want to address a problem that has been happening throughout the country, throughout TUSD, and at Torrance High School. What started on TikTok as devious licks, where students would take things from school and post it on TikTok, has turned into vandalism at Torrance High School. Our school has especially had problems with vandalism in our bathrooms. This has caused us to close some of our bathrooms for periods of time throughout the day, causing inconvenience to many students. Our administration has been watching very closely for possible culprits, and we have initiated many ways to stop this problem. Today, we had a short video come out in our daily video bulletin where we announced the problem that is occurring, emphasize the repercussions for vandalizing, and ask students to report anonymously to staff if they see anything happening. Torrance High School is working very hard to address this problem, and the administration will keep monitoring bathrooms and will keep pushing videos out until we get to the bottom of it. Lastly, I saved the best for last. Torrance High School has been having a great fall season. Cross country is ranked 4th in CIF and are running in the CIF prelims this weekend. Torrance High boys football is headed to the CIF quarterfinals this Friday. And last Saturday, girls volleyball was crowned CIF champion. That is all. Thank you.
Wonderful news. Thank you very much, Mr. Han. We look forward to seeing you in the next couple of meetings too for your report. Item number 8.2, good news presentation. Ulterior Student and a National Invention Convention, TUSD STEAM Fair and Invention Convention. Dr. Kim, would you make the introduction, please?
Yes, thank you, President Liu. It's my pleasure to reintroduce and announce that we are having our good news presentations back at our school board meetings. It's been on hiatus for 20 months, but now that we're back in our beautiful facilities here, I'd like to introduce one of our winners from Waltera Elementary School of the National Invention Convention, Shinga Hong Lang. Please come on up. Let's give her a huge round of applause.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to have represented TUSD and California in the state and national invention conventions. Last year during STEAM Week, everyone made an invention that solved a problem. We were encouraged to solve problems we saw around us. Since I play violin, my problem was breaking rosin, a tool made of hardened tree sap that easily cracks when dropped and becomes unusable. Therefore, I invented the rosin ring, which prevents violinists from breaking the rosin. Developing my invention took patience and input from many people, including teachers and family members. Between the California and National Invention Conventions, I got even more feedback from my violin instructor, Mrs. Sato, and the science research teachers, Dr. Stilatano and Mr. Daly, which made me feel even more determined to improve my invention. Being part of the state and national invention conventions has taught me perseverance and dedication to developing an idea into an invention. Looking around at the other students' inventions, I realized kids have awesome ideas and can invent things too. In case you're wondering what happens next, I'm working with a patent agent to apply for a provisional patent this year. This will hopefully lead to finalizing the patent for my invention in the near future. I appreciate everyone who helped and supported me because ideas develop best when you get input from other people. I especially want to thank Mrs. Sato, Dr. Stilatano, Mr. Daly, my third grade teacher, Mrs. Yoshihara, for the feedback, support, and encouragement. And thank you to Dr. Ponce for keeping school running smoothly during COVID so we could safely participate in STEAM Week from our homes. Finally, I would like to thank God for helping me, my family for listening to my ideas and believing in me. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Shinja. We're very proud of you, and we know you're going to be a future patent holder here soon. We have several members of the Hong Lang family here. Do y'all want to wave? All right. Also joining us tonight is Dr. Ponce, proud principal of Waltera Elementary. And Shinja already mentioned them once, but I'd like to reintroduce them. This wouldn't happen without the lead of our resource teachers. So I'd like to introduce our science resource teachers, Marissa Stilatano and M. Daly, who are going to give a little brief introduction of how the TUSD STEAM Fair is changing this year because of the tremendous success of our students in the Invention Convention. So please, Adam and Marissa, take it away.
All right.
Hopefully that's okay.
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Board President Liu, Board of Education, Dr. Stowe, and Cabinet. Thank you so much for inviting us to speak about the 2022 TUSD STEAM Fair and the inaugural South Bay Regional Invention Convention. This year's TUSD STEAM Fair will take place on March 3rd at North High School. And for the first time in a long time, we're inviting TK through 12th grade students to participate. Inventions will be submitted to their school sites and top projects will move on to this district event. During distance learning last year, we connected with the California Invention Convention. And as you know, we selected 16 students representing 8 schools from TUSD to move on to that California Invention Convention. 13 of our students won awards at the state level. with 8 invited to the National Invention Convention. We were inspired by our students' achievements and beyond thrilled to watch Shinja win 3rd place at nationals. And just last week, we connected her with a patent agent to begin the process of patenting her invention. Opportunities like this have the potential to change our students' lives.
Considering this was the first time Torrance Unified had entered this competition, both the director of the California State Invention Convention and the Lemelson MIT director reached out to us to encourage us to host a regional competition in Southern California. We are proud to announce the first annual South Bay Regional Invention Convention will be held on March 12th at Torrance High School. We are also excited to announce Torrance Refining Company as the presenting sponsor, making the event free to all students who earn a chance to compete at this event. This will be an opportunity for TUSD students, as well as students from the surrounding South Bay school districts, to follow their natural curiosity, invent creative solutions to problems, and be inspired to impact the world around them. Thank you to the district, the teachers, administrators, and families for supporting and encouraging our young inventors. We are so proud of all of the students who participated this past year. We cannot wait to see what this year's students invent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. The Invention Convention sounds very exciting. I'm sure a lot of us board members here would love to go and attend. Shinja, you are not just a good inventor, you are a good speaker too. We definitely want to support you all the way. Actually, my own son just finished his 5th application for patent last month, and I think that maybe you inventors should talk together, get together. Anyway, okay, moving on to the next item, we have a report from Torrance Council TCPTA, or Torrance Council PTAs. Miss Reagans.
Thank you. And I have a friend here with me. I'll introduce in just a moment. Good evening, Board President Lou, the rest of the board. Nice to see you all in this lovely new, somewhat renovated, new and improved, let's put it that way, boardroom and cabinet. So it's wonderful to see you all this evening. I have 2 months of information to share with you since we didn't stay for the meeting last month, but I'll try to be brief. Just wanted to let you know membership continues. Our campaign is a year-round thing. So if you haven't joined PTA, please do. And if anyone on the board has not told me if you've joined, since we are trying to get all of the board members to be members, let me know and we can get you joined up or see what we can do to encourage you to do that. So membership, it's really important because our members are really getting anxious about getting back on campus. And actually, if I had reported last month, the situation was different then than now, because there is a gradual but very definite movement towards having more volunteers on campus. And our PTAs are very excited about that and hoping that that trend continues, that they're allowed to be involved in their school environment with their students. Up to and including Adventures in Art, which got a little slower start than they expected, but the first project is out and it's about night walk. It's about looking at things in the dark. And then in the dark, there's not color, and in the light where there is color. So that contrast and creating that in an art project. So it's pretty cool. Take an opportunity to go to a school and see some of the productions if you can. It's a neat project. I wanted to let you know that last time I actually spoke here, I was asking you to help donate Halloween costumes for our students who were needy in the district. We actually had requests for 135 Halloween costumes. And I'm happy to report that we were able to provide every single one. So all of those students had the opportunity to be part of the Halloween fun and frivolity that we all missed in the last year or so. So it was really nice to have that be able to be a successful campaign. We are now collecting for that Project Hope group, which again is our low income or foster youth or homeless youth for Thanksgiving boxes so that they can have the supplies they need to make their Thanksgiving meaningful and successful, and for holiday boxes that we will pack and then provide to those families. There is a list on the Torrance Council of PTA's website of the items that are needed. So if anybody's interested in donating, please check it out and help us out. I did want to report on reflections. Last meeting, we were in the process of collecting entries. Now the entries have been collected and are being judged. And in fact, somebody in this room, many people maybe, may have been asked to help to judge those entries and to assist with identifying the excellent, actually all of our students are excellent, but the more excellent ones that we want to move on to both state and national level for recognition. The theme again was I will change the world by. So it's really kind of a nice prompt. And the kids really outdid themselves in addressing that. I wanted to bring it up because they're also, the California PTA and the National PTA are doing a campaign to look forward to identifying a theme for the next theme year that they do not have identified for 2023, not next year, but the year after. So if anybody knows of a student who has a wonderful theme idea, please have them bring it to PTA's attention so we can utilize it down the road. I also wanted to say that as of last month, we had the opportunity to virtually recognize the employees of the year that Torrance Unified had identified. We do that on an annual basis so that PTA folks can see the excellence again with our employees that helped us serve our students. And that was really nice. Dr. Stowe helped us with that. And actually he was very well versed on every one of them and knew a lot about them to share, which was really nice. I want to let you all know we have not had any really large meetings in person yet, but I wanted you to sort of do a save the date that on December 1st, we do anticipate having a holiday gathering of some sort that will be the Torrance Council of PTA's scholarship fundraiser. So please put on your calendar. You all probably remember it as a holiday luncheon. Other years, I'm not sure. It'll actually be a luncheon this time, but we're hoping it will be in person. And then it will be just an opportunity to see each other for the first time in a very long time. So I hope you'll join us for that. And last
Date
but
on
not
that one again?
least,
December 1st?
yes, ma'am,
December 1st, right?
December 1st.
Thank you.
Yes, and we will have invitations going out quickly. It's hard to actually make plans very far in advance because you never know what the situation is going to be. So we're trying to do it safely, but in a way that we can actually still provide the funding that we need for those scholarships at the end of the year. And then last but not least, October 23rd to the 31st every year is Red Ribbon Week. And again, we were here before Red Ribbon Week when we were here last time, but we didn't have the opportunity to speak. But we wanted to still come and talk with you about what Red Ribbon Week was created for, sort of the goal behind it, and give you an idea. This time, we've gotten reports back from schools and from PTAs as to what they actually did do. So we'll share a little bit of that. And to do that, I have our chairperson for Torrance Council, Shivani Kraus, whose students are at Hickory. Still, she's moving on soon, but working with the Hickory folks. So I'll let Shivani do that part.
In February of 1985, Enrique Camarena Salazar, who was an intelligence officer for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, was kidnapped by the leader of a drug cartel in Guadalajara, Mexico. He was interrogated under torture over a period of 30 hours and then killed, leaving behind his wife and 3 sons. His tragic and untimely death became the impetus for National Red Ribbon Week, a program established in his memory in order to raise awareness about the dangers and scope of the international drug trade. As such, the Torrance Council of PTAs encourages its member units to bring that same awareness to their schools. This will likely look different for different age groups. So this year for our elementary schools, we put together a short video on recognizing and handling peer pressure. And some of the things our elementary schools did this year were having students wear red, decorating their school fences with red ribbons or red cups, and talking about different ways in which we make healthy choices every day. At our high schools, they also decorated their campuses, some of them with red ribbons, and with the help of their associated student bodies, they included messages of health and positivity in their daily bulletins. At the end of the day, whether you're a kindergartner starting out or a high school student standing on the cusp of graduation, at its very core for us, the idea is just to bring our community together and celebrate the healthy choices that we can make every day and the drug-free lives that we can lead. And so thank you for this opportunity and for your support in that endeavor.
Thank you, Shivani.
And I wanted to add one more thing is that this year Assemblymember Elmer Tsuchi provided us with certificates and with some bookmarks and other sorts of memorabilia things for the kids to have on hand, just to remind them on a daily basis as they're using those materials, what it can mean to make really good choices in your life. So thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything you need to know from me? You can ask me now or you can ask me later. You all know how to get in touch with me. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Reagans. Item number 8.4, Torrance Education Foundation.
Good evening, Board President, Mrs. Liu, board members, Dr. Stowe and Cabinet. Want all of you to, I'm going to share with you a couple of good news, but first I want to introduce you to my first vice president, Mrs. Terry Fiore, and my business manager for the foundation, Denise Mandel. So on behalf of the Torrance Education Foundation, I first want to thank the Torrance Unified School District for proclaiming November the Torrance Education Foundation Month. TEF's goal is to continue to support TUSD students. And I'm also happy to report the following good news. Thank you to everyone that participated in the Skechers Walk. We increased our walkers from 2,962 last year to 4,334 participants this year. And we owe it all to you and your support, especially Dr. Stowe, and supporting the TEF and all of the principals and the ambassadors and families and students that supported us. So we will be donating a total of $176,482 to our schools. This includes $161,982 in Skechers raised donations and an additional $14,500 in bonuses. Also, due to the pandemic, TEF was unable to personally deliver the following checks. But tonight, we're here in person and we're happy to present these to you. With us tonight, we have a $45,000 check. This is for the purchase of science lab materials. And then another check for $45,893 for water stations on our school sites. So thank you to all the generous donations for making this happen. And Madam President, this concludes my report.
Thank you, President. It's probably best to give it to the Chief Business Officer. Thank you so much, Mrs. Deutsch. Oh, yes. Yes. Is she coming?
We can.
Yeah, maybe I'll just stand up.
You're gonna stand up?
Yeah. What would you like, actually? Okay, sure. Okay. Oh, no, it's good. For her.
Yeah.
It's, I'm okay.
Have you back here? Martha, come back here. Yeah, we'll move. You come back here. Yes.
Okay. I know, and it's with us. And it's her last one. How honored am I?
The honor's mine.
Oh, sweetie. Okay,
Thank you.
All right. Sweetie. All right.
Me too.
That is- I know. The breeze will come out.
First day, and we're already denting the back wall.
I don't forget. Well, thank you, Torrance Education Foundation, for your tireless work in supporting our district and raising these funds also for what is essential. All right, item number 8.5, CSEA 845 report.
Hello. Good evening, President Liu, board members, superintendent and cabinet. Forgive me if I'm a little nervous. I've talked to you all individually, but all together, I'm not too sure here. But I'm going to give it a try. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and speak to you regarding the first CSEA Chapter 845 report. As a chapter, we meet monthly and receive input from members. We would like to thank the board for granting professional development days. Our last meeting on October 13th became very heated as I disclosed to members that we were still in the process of negotiations for the 21-22 raise. When I explained that the district was offering a 1% raise, which would not be effective until July 1st, 22, voices began to rise and the sentiment was clear that those present were very angry when we are aware that the COLA is 5.7. Over the years, our members in the past have gone years without any raise when there was no COLA given by the state. We continue to do our essential work, even though we lost buying power, and those making the least felt the strangle of inflation. Nearly all our members were working in person during the worst of the pandemic. I'm very pleased, along with fellow members of CSEA Chapter 845, that on tonight's agenda, there are two senior members of TUSD Administrative Management who are receiving their 20-year stipends of 10%, and another admin getting his doctorate for his 10% stipend. Congratulations. That 10% stipend is approximately over $20,000 annually for each of these well-deserving administrators. By comparison, the 1% raise offered to our members by the district amounts to about an average of 20 cents an hour, or about $220 a year. With this comparison, you might be able to understand why our members feel unappreciated and frustrated, to say the least. Our members came back to work long before the general TUSD educators came back to teach. Our members think that they have demonstrated their dedication to the most vulnerable TUSD students. They were on the front lines with students and continue to be in close proximity to those students daily. Education Code 3543.7 states that the duty to meet and negotiate in good faith requires the parties to begin negotiations prior to the adoption of the final budget for the ensuing year sufficiently in advance of such adoption date so that there is adequate time for agreement to be reached or for the resolution of an impasse. While the intent of legislature is for the parties to have sufficient time to negotiate prior to the adoption of the budget, we have been informed that this is the practice of the district to negotiate salary for its employees after the fiscal year. In other words, that district employees, including our members, are a budgetary afterthought, the very last budgetary consideration. While I understand the appeal of this practice for the district from a fiscal standpoint, it does not reflect the intent of the legislature, and it does not create employees who feel appreciated, particularly when our members have worked so hard to prioritize the needs of students, especially during the pandemic. This practice needs to change. Dr. Stowe openly shares that he believes that Torrance Unified is the best district in the state, and I agree in many respects. However, if we are the best, we should strive for the best in all areas, including competitive staffing and retainment. Our students deserve the best staff, and we all know that the best employees find permanent homes where they are compensated better. How can we be the best when neighboring districts have already settled or are close to settling our compensation packages far exceeding 0% for this year and 1% for next year? Effective this year, Redondo Beach provided 4%. Bellflower provided 5.7%, the full COLA. Palos Verdes has offered an 8.5% package over 2 years. I'd also like to point out that the TUSD negotiation team has said that they're hesitant to negotiate more than a 1% COLA because other employee groups haven't come to the table. We know that to mean TTA. Every union within the district should be given the same consideration at the table. One union does not negotiate for the other. While the addition of Dr. Butler and Dr. Ferris have greatly improved the relationship, we still have much work to do. We are committed to working together to build the best school district in the state for students. I'm hopeful that you might have questions and would like to take this opportunity to ask. This is an opportunity not to negotiate, but to openly talk about how negotiations are progressing. Agenda items are open for comment and discussions, whereas comments are just that, comments for the public and the board, not to comment. As the president of CSEA Chapter 845, it's my obligation to bring concerns to you from our members. We've always wanted transparency, and this is the start of open conversation. Thank you. So you guys have any questions?
I see no one has any questions right now.
Okay. I also had Robert with me tonight, just in case you had any other questions. He's here because I know you have questions that Keith can answer, but we also have questions Robert can answer. So, but thank you for listening and congratulations to you guys that got your stipend. We do mean that. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8.6, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Liu and board members. We've got, I'm going to keep it relatively short because we do have a lot of presentations tonight. But I do want to recognize some people that were responsible for the work in putting this room together. I hope you like the upgrades. We're still working on some of the pictures and we'll get those. It's been difficult the last 6 months to get pictures of students. We do feel that by having pictures in here of kids, it reminds us all of why we do the work. And so we'll be gradually adding to this. And so just want to thank Cesar Vergara, Jared Robinson, Ian Kempton, Gil Mara, Larry Garcia, Tammy Khan, a lot of people. And I know I'm sure I left some off that were responsible in navigating some of the issues. We still have some equipment that's on a shipping container somewhere off the coast that is yet to arrive and be installed, but it's nice to be back here in this boardroom. I've continued to have school visits and just continue to be impressed with the teachers and the learning that's happening and the support that we're offering for students that need it. The mental health therapists at the schools, the counselors, had a really great conversation with the dean at North High School a couple of days ago about some of the things that they're doing to make sure that students are supported. And so just, seeing the learning happening in the classroom, getting an opportunity to talk to students has been it's such a joy to be able to ask them questions and about what they're learning. And sometimes even unbeknownst to them and me, I run across students that I know even at north in Torrance High. It's kind of fun, having been in this community for so long. This week, we are sending out our first staff newsletter. We are going to be doing a staff newsletter for information and updates, just to keep TUSD employees informed of things. We're going to do those after each board meeting. And then basically every 2 weeks, roughly throughout the year, in order to keep people posted on what's happening. And so thanks to a lot of folks for helping put that together. The Torrance Adult School had their WASC accreditation visit, and it went glowingly. The WASC committee, it was all virtual, as you know, and many of you attended these meetings and heard the great things they had to say. But congratulations to Dr. Diulio and Ms. Takamine and all of the staff at Torrance Adult School for making that happen. I want to let you know that I'm recruiting for the Superintendent's Student Leadership and Advisory Committee. That is something that was emailed out to all 10th and 11th grade parents and students last week, and also to principals to help them encourage students that they think might want to be part of this. And so it's a 2-year commitment, and hence the juniors and sophomores, where I'll meet with them at least quarterly to be able to hear their concerns, understand a little bit better, give them voice on what it is that is affecting the high schools. And in addition to that, be a somewhat like a leadership development program. I've already made connections with Donna Dupron at the Chamber of Commerce and begun to talk about how we might take this group and look at the community and some of the businesses there and some of the resources there, so that this group of students can learn about that, and then maybe take those back, those examples and lessons and resources back to the high school. So excited to get that going. And then Mr. Hahn here stole my thunder talking about Torrance High School and recognize them, but I do want to say that all 4 of our high schools made it to CIF for football, and so that was a great accomplishment. So that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Stowe. Item 8.7, Early College Board Presentation. Dr. Crumpy?
Yes. Thank you. It is my pleasure this evening to present the early college program for the inaugural class of 2022 next year, with a partnership with the Torrance Unified School District and El Camino College. The ultimate goal is to allow students concurrently to be in high school, taking classes, but also earn college units, with a focus on our disadvantaged and underrepresented students, first gen college going students that will be our primary group that we will recruit for. But what is this thing called early college? And sometimes you may hear it called middle college. It is really a partnership between a school district and a 2 or a 4-year university. For us, that is a 2-year with El Camino College. And it is a type of dual enrollment, which we already have an existing contract approved with El Camino College. And as I mentioned prior, it really gives the student an opportunity to earn an Associates of Arts degree and earn credits toward a bachelor's degree in high school at no cost to the student. And so what are some of the benefits? And there's a recent study that just came out last April from the Journal of Research on Educational Effectiveness, which is really nice to have something that current, that says that early college students are significantly more likely to enroll in college and earn a college degree. In fact, and you can see on the next slide that there's 3 and 5 and then 4 and 5, and you can just kind of see the numbers where students in early college are more likely to enroll and move forward in college at larger percents. And then the next slide also, Mr. Mara, is then, and they're also more likely to graduate from college, both in either in 4 years or 6 years. 6 years is a very common measurement that the statisticians utilize and keep track of our data and statistics for us. So there's clear advantages to kids that are given this opportunity in high school to earn units towards college. So we want this is located on the North High School campus. We think North High School is, next slide, Mr. Mara, is a perfect location. It has the right demographic that we're looking for, but it also is right down the street from El Camino College. So we think it is the perfect school and opportunity for this partnership. So what is this dually enrolled, and what does it mean? So really students who will be freshmen next year will be enrolled both at El Camino College and at North High School concurrently, every year, earning those high school graduation credits and in an A through G rigorous, course of study, also earning transferable college units. And we're going to speak about that a little bit more as we move on. Their general education courses. And they also may complete courses in the major of study. We're trying to kind of give a basic overview tonight. This gets kind of complicated. And so there's a lot of different factors, and it's our hope to give you an introduction tonight as we just did complete, and really thank El Camino College for working with us and getting the course of study that we're going to see soon approved by them just last week. So we've giving you what we have, and then there's a lot more work to do. And one of these, next slide, Mr. Mara, is the completion of college credits. You're going to hear us talk about this foreign term of acronyms here called a GETSI. And it's really a GETSI fancy term here for general education transfer curriculum. And when students are transfer students at El Camino College, and they complete this, it allows them to transfer with all of their gen ed requirements done. And there's, I think I even say this on a future slide, there's some rules about this. They actually need to spend a semester at El Camino College to earn these GETSI units. But the way in that we're designing this program is that we're following this GETSI curriculum. These are the transferable units that El Camino has worked on, the transfer requirements with both the Cal States and the UCs. Even if they don't go to El Camino after their high school to get that semester, all of these are still UC transferable college units that they would enter their freshman year of college having. And so then what do they do after college? And I know as I was working with some people and talking about this, like, they don't understand they're going to be college juniors. No, one of the options is that they would enroll as college freshmen. They're going to be college freshmen ready, and they can take however many units that they earn through this program and transfer to a four-year university that they get accepted into. Or they continue right on at El Camino with a campus that they're now going to be very familiar with, and that may allow them to complete their AA or AS degree, a career tech ed pathway, lots of opportunities for them. And when they transfer, if they continue at El Camino, it will continue to be at no cost. They will become part of the South Bay Promise student body on their campus. So there isn't any, it's actually a very complimentary program that they will be able to work with, which then allows transferability relationships. We can present more information and updates on South Bay Promise at a future board meeting that allows them to then transfer and have some even third and fourth year money paid for them on some of the Cal State campuses. And so what are some of these logistics that we're working on? How does this actually work? The classes are predominantly going to be on the North High School campus. Although in the 11th and 12th grades, we do see an advantage for them matriculating and having courses on the college campus, that we will have them take classes on El Camino's campus. The plan today is that they would start their day with a class on the campus, and we would then transport them back to North High School at the completion of that class. El Camino College professors are the teachers of these college classes. A class may be taught by a North High School teacher if they meet the minimum qualifications to teach an El Camino class and are hired by the college. You may be familiar, we have this relationship already for our Project Lead the Way teachers that have qualified, and also a few of our dual enrollment teachers that teach, and a few of them are at North High School. And really just a minute here, because I think it's important to talk about the flexibility in the design of this program. Many times these programs are on a college campus, the kids are there. They're not really part of their high school campus. Still, and more often, they're on the high school campus, but almost a school within a school, and they're cohorted in a wing of the school. And it is our expectation in our design, maybe a little bit more complicated and more work on our part, but that we want to offer flexibility to students so that they can be high school students and take these college courses and still participate in athletics, extracurricular activities, be on student council, sit here as a board member, a student board member in the future, and not have to sacrifice those really important, I think, life skills that they learn and experiences as they develop, just to be able to have the advantage to take a college class. So we do anticipate, as you're going to see, I'm going to have Dr. Tara Black come up here and talk about the 4-year, what the courses look like. We're giving you an example. I think maybe our freshman and sophomore year are a little bit more locked in, and then there is flexibility. They may choose, for example, to be in a sport and be on student council, and they may opt out of a certain class. And that's okay. They would just earn 3 or 4 units less in that instance. And so we really want that flexibility. And then that would also allow there to be an opportunity for other students, space available, to have the flexibility to add in and earn college credits on while they're not part of early college. So a lot kind of complicated, but really we want you to hear that we really are designing this for the flexibility of as many students as possible. And so what will this cost? Drum roll, I think I announced $0 for the student. Okay, so El Camino provides professors. We provide our teachers that are hired as professors. It's part of the dual enrollment contract. We provide the textbooks, and so they will have no cost. We will transport them back. We've had money set aside as part of planning this program for a long time that can pick up additional costs like the transportation. And really, when you look at this, is like, well, why would I want to do this? Now this just came straight from last year's 2021, UC information website, that it could cost up to $73,000 for 2 years of school. And so students who finish this with 2 years of college under their belt, well, if it were me, I might ask my parents for the money and then save it and invest. But nonetheless, just kidding, just kidding. But this is quite a savings. And so any amount, even if they don't finish with the full 2 years, are units that they take with them to college as a savings. So we think that the $0 cost while they're getting the 2 years of college credits, coupled with the price of what it actually costs to go to college, makes it quite attractive. And I just want to refer back to a UCLA study that was done. And I think the final study came out just pre-pandemic, and it was talking about why some of our underrepresented students were not going to college. And it wasn't that they didn't think that was important. It was that they really thought that the cost was inhibitive, and that they didn't see any way of being able to pay for college. So it's our hope that by providing this opportunity for free, working with El Camino College, and then that South Bay Promise program that will help them even in their 3rd and 4th year, that this will attract a lot of our students that didn't think that this was within their reach. And so with that, Dr. Black, will you come up to the podium and talk about our next 2 slides with the course sequence?
Yes, thank you so much.
One more.
So in collaboration with El Camino College, we've developed a sample 4-year plan. which represents the sequence of courses that students would take during their freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior years while they're enrolled in the early college program at North High School. The four-year plan is color-coded for convenience. I'm actually very proud of the color codes because the yellow, which is representative of our TUSD logo, represents the high school only courses. And those are the courses that will appear on the student's North High School transcript. The blue, which is representative of El Camino's logo, are the college only courses, which will appear on the student's El Camino transcript. And then the green, which if you blend yellow and blue, you see where we're going here, are the dual enrollment courses, which will appear on both their North High School transcript and their El Camino transcript. So the students will earn credit at both institutions for those courses. The plan does show a gradual increase of college courses over the course of the 4 years. So you can see that in their freshman year, they'll be taking 2 college courses, one for college credit and one for dual enrollment credit. And then in their 10th grade year, that increases to 3 courses. And then if you click over to the next slide, their 11th grade year, they'll be taking 4 courses at El Camino or with El Camino. And then their senior year, 6 courses will be college courses. And you can also see on this plan that most of the college courses are dual enrollment courses. There's only a few of them that really count for college only credit. You can also see that in 11th and 12th grade, there are some blank spaces in the plan, and that's intentionally built into the plan to allow for personalization, so that if the students do have an opportunity to declare a major, for example, they can start working on their major courses while they're in their junior and senior year. Or maybe there's some classes at North High School that are elective courses that they're really excited to take. There's room in their schedule for that as well. You can also see that there is a space for summer school within this plan, although it's left blank. And that was intentional as well, because it shows flexibility for the students so that if they want to, they can take summer school courses, but it's not a requirement in order to complete the program. Next slide. If the students were to complete the entire 4-year plan, they will meet the TUSD graduation requirements, as well as all of the UC CSU requirements and recommendations. So the additional recommended courses are built in as well. And they will meet all of the IGETC general education requirements for El Camino. So we were very thoughtful in putting the plan together to make sure that with those dual enrollment courses, the students are able to meet all of these requirements within the 4 years. And the development of this plan was in conjunction and collaboration with El Camino. So there was feedback. It was a very collaborative process where we talked about student readiness, rigor of the courses, making sure that they were in appropriate grade level, et cetera. So thank you so much.
And then finally, next steps, as I mentioned, we're still in development. We're very excited that we've got this 4-year plan ready to go. So our next steps is the recruitment of students. We met with both Magruder and Casimir middle schools last week. And our hope is that we actually start a 0-period North High course in the spring, where we're recruiting and starting to give them a college look and to kind of maximize, give them information, but also help them develop some of those skills to help them optimize success. So we're trying to like a recruiting pool. And then in future years, it would be a year-long course that we would have for 8th graders at both Magruder and Casimir. We are also in the process of an application and planning where we think it'll be something very similar to how we rolled out the dual immersion, where North High students would get, first dibs on spaces and application, followed by Torrance residents at the other 3 high schools wanting to transfer possibly into this, followed by outside, permits. We did that quite well. It worked really well with the dual immersion recruitment. And so we anticipate having that criteria as we work to finalize some of the details. And then we will be assisting students in the process of enrolling. It's a little daunting even for our college or our high school juniors and seniors enrolling at El Camino to receive the dual enrollment credit. So we'll be working with them through that. The teacher hiring, Chris Scheck, I believe he's out here in the audience, has been integral back there in the back row, working with us and starting the process with his teachers that have the qualifications to go through the interview process with El Camino College. And then we are also working on counseling support and design. So they've got some additional counseling and what does that look like between El Camino and Torrance Unified so that we can help them be successful once they get into the program. And last but not least, I really want to welcome and thank the new president of El Camino College, Dr. Brenda Times, who's back in the back row corner there, and thank her and have her come up and say. Thank you and welcome.
Good evening. I want to thank Dr. Stowe for extending the invitation. I was been here maybe 4 months, and as part of my listening tour, invited Dr. Stowe over to the campus to tour the campus to hear what his vision is for Torrance Unified and to see how we could support. And one of the things he said is, I got this early college thing I got to get off the ground. If we could just bring that to the finish line. So I said, why not? Let's look at it. And then I asked my Vice President of Instruction, Dr. Sims, who came with me. Jackie, let's look at this. We were both new. So let's not talk about why it didn't happen. Let's just say, how can we? And so the two teams got together, talked about how can we, and this is how we can. So we're excited about it. Our passion is access. It doesn't matter if they come to El Camino. We want educational opportunity and access. This is my 4th college and my last college in my career. And everywhere we go, I say, I want this to be the most educated community in the country. That's my contribution. And so we're off to a great start, Dr. Stowe. So thank you very much. And thank you all for having us. And we look forward to a very, very wonderful partnership over the next couple of years.
Any questions? Any questions from board members? Dr. Mohammed?
Yeah, this is such a great thing. It's one thing to talk about, how do we get access to college and how do we encourage students to go to college? And it's another thing to actually bring college on our campuses. So this is just amazing work here, and just a lot of folks that have, put in the time, energy into making this happen. I think it's really good. What are the plans for the other 3 high schools for the early college program?
Well, gee, you're stealing our thunder for the future. And actually, I think that Mr. Gerges, and I don't want to speak prematurely. So it's like, because, we started the dual immersion and you wanted to know what were the next languages. And we said, let's start with Spanish first. And so I want to say, let's start and get this one off the ground first. However, we do and have already met with Kareem Gerges, because there may be expansions where we have a different focus and maybe work on some of the career tech educational completion programs through their NAA degree. So maybe less a GETC transfer and more focused on a career tech ed completion. So, but early beginning stages, want to really get this off the ground before we take the next leap.
Any Trustee Park?
Yes. Also very, very excited about this program. I also took a course or 2 at Elko while I was a high school student, really enjoyed it. So it's wonderful that this is going to be opportunity that more students get to enjoy. I was curious, how many students are expected to enroll in this program?
Yeah, so great question. I did not cover that. One cohort class size. So we think that's like 32 to 35 students in the inaugural 9th grade class.
And how will these students be selected? Will it be on past performance? Or I know you mentioned different demographic groups that may particularly benefit from this program. So I was kind of curious what the selection process would look like.
Right. So that's our next phase, is to actually kind of really tighten that up. But that is our hope, is that is the predominant recruitment of that group. So I'll bring more information back to you as we solidify That's like the agenda for the next time that we can get back together and meet. But that demographic is who we're looking as we recruit.
Mhm. And finally, I was curious how the program might interact with or compete with AP courses. I know that that's another way that students are able to get college credit.
Right. And so I don't know. In talking to a couple of principals that have had these programs on their campuses, we actually see them not competitive. And they actually see, so for example, one of the things that we've done at North High School, I think this is year 3, Mr. Shack, is 2? Year 2? We have a concurrent English 4 and English 1A. So the El Camino, I call it a twofer because it's an actual graduation requirement and a college class at the same time. And there's a couple hundred kids that are enrolling in this class, and there's been no decrease in their AP courses. And so as I said, it's quite possible that a student decides to not take one of these classes and take an AP course. And so, we don't know for sure how it's going to affect specifically at North High School, but the past practices has shown that it's actually grown enrollment and not decreased those AP offerings.
Vice President Han?
Just to follow up on that, what she was asking, I see that there would have to be a decrease in AP enrollment. I think if the kids in these classes, well, at least in these cohorts, right? If I was in this cohort, I wouldn't take AP US history. Why would I do that if I get dual credit, El Camino and for Torrance? I wouldn't take AP government because I get dual credit. I wouldn't take AP economics. I get dual credit. There's no incentive for me to take the AP classes, correct? So my concern there is it would affect the overall cumulative GPA for those students because they will not be able to get the weighted GPA of 4.7. For example, my son, right? My son is, by the way, the president of ASB at Torrance High School. It would affect your GPA because of the fact that you can now get out of 5. You'll be reduced to a 4.0 GPA if you take these college classes. So that's only my concern for those because, again, I think the pathway is going to be different because I think this is for a certain demographic, a certain group of kids that we're trying to really get encouraged to pursue college. That's my understanding, right? And so a lot of those kids who are on a different pathway are not going to go in this cohort. But again, I can see a lot of kids wanting to go this cohort because of the fact that you get dual credit. I would like get dual credit anyways. But again, it would affect, right, Ian, because you're applying right now for college, right? It would affect your cumulative GPA. If you want to make any comments on that. No. Yeah. So that's my only concern that I would have is that for the kids, if they want to pursue that, if that matters, I'm not sure. Again, who knows what it's going to look like 2 years, 3 years on the college entrance. And so that's just a question that I wonder about. In terms of cumulative GPA, how that would affect kids who perhaps want to go to Ivy League schools or these schools that I don't know. And would that hinder private schools looking upon these type of courses, even though they see it as a dual enrollment? Would they see it as dual enrollment? Would they understand that? Like, that's my question.
I'm sorry, 'cause I know this is not my party, but just a different parent perspective, because I just sent one off to college, high school athlete, center field. He was at Biola this year. But the trick is the counseling, both from the community college and the high school, because my son took a combination of dual enrollment and AP courses, depending upon where he was at in season and what kind of course load he needed to take and what made the most sense for his school of choice. So if we do the counseling right, it will be what's right for the student. And it should not decrease your AP courses for the students, but that's the right track for them. That's just a different parent perspective.
That's great. I appreciate. By the way, I do appreciate. I want to recognize again the president of El Camino, Dr. Barbara Thames, for coming today. That's great. I'm really thankful. I think it's the first time I met you guys, and so it's so grateful that you actually came, both of you, to encourage this program. It's a wonderful program. We're excited, and thank you for making your presence here today. We really do appreciate it. And so that's just one of the concerns I had regarding. But again, I think it's a great program. I think I'm really excited about the program. Other thing I noticed is there's no math or science. Is that intentional? Because it's all either social science, history, government.
Oh, well, actually the first class that we have slated their junior year at El Camino is science. And and this is the part of, I didn't want to get too complicated with the major of why, if they select a major, then there may be different options that they take. That, you know, universities, that's what's required. That's their requirement for gen ed. And so for why the white blanks that Dr. Black talked about, and also some of the college courses might be part of their major of study. And so we really want to try to create that flexibility, which we hope that, you know, just what you shared, remember, it's just 32 to 35 students. Yeah. But that they can take a combination of an AP if that's their area of emphasis that they want to you know, for the rigor on their transcript for college, and then take the dual credit. So I do think that they will have that opportunity to opt out of one of the early college courses, like that we're not locking them in to a cohort where they can't ebb and flow. And we'll try it and come back and see what are some of the things that work and that don't work, and make those adjustments.
Thank you.
Dr. Gerson?
First, I want to start by thanking you, Dr. Times, for coming. It is a pleasure to meet you. I really had a great relationship with your predecessor, Dr. Maloney. I hope to have a great relationship with you. And I appreciate how fast and supportive you were of this program. And I heard how integral you are and your energy in making this happen. So thank you with deep appreciation. My personal experience, I graduated from Torrance High, and I was accepted at one of the Ivy Leagues at CMU, Carnegie Mellon, but I declined them and decided to stay here in California at a small private school that did not accept my AP computer science or my AB computer science or my AB calculus exams. But what they did accept is my Math 5B calculus course from El Camino, and 1A and 1C is a part of this program. So I had the opportunity to take many classes at El Camino College, and of course, all of them are transferable because it's a real, you know, community college transcript. And so the value of that is, well, it is invaluable. And so I appreciate your work, Dr. Crumpy, on this, and your staff, and Dr. Times and your staff. And I hope that we'll see many more innovative partnerships and relationships between El Camino Community College and Torrance Unified. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gerson. Any other questions from my board or cabinet? Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Thames. I've heard from the trustees how excited and happy they are to have hired you. So wonderful that we can already start off right away with our partnership. Thank you again for being here. Thank you, Dr. Crumpy, Dr. Black, for your presentations. Item 8.8, Educator Effectiveness Block Grant Presentation. Dr. McDowell.
Good to see all of you. Thank you for having me. That is a hard presentation to follow. I have what I think is very exciting, but does not amount to students getting through college earlier and faster and better. But as I did mention at the last board meeting, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and you have already approved an AB 86 plan, a local control accountability plan, an LCP plan, an ESSER 3 plan, and I am here now to present to you the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant Plan, and you will have more plans to come in the future. We are drinking from a fire hose with this, and we are excited, but of course, implementation for so much so fast is difficult. However, this plan provides, this grant provides $5.4 million to Torrance Unified over the next 5 years, specifically for professional development for teachers, administrators, and classified staff who work directly with students. And this money is in addition to the money that you have already approved in the LCAP that is designed for teacher and administrator and classified professional development. So this is great. This gives us additional opportunity to provide PD. It has 10 allowable areas, and these allowable areas are very broad, and it allows us great freedom in what we provide to our teachers and all of our staff. They are beginning teacher mentoring, effective instruction, which that is about as broad of a category as it gets, re-engagement and accelerated learning, social emotional learning, positive school climate, inclusive practices for students with special needs, language acquisition, professional learning networks, ethnic studies curriculum, and TK early childhood. That covers a huge breadth of what we need. For the teachers, we've set aside in the plan 6 hours of professional development per year for teachers. Those topics will be determined on a year-by-year basis based on current needs. We certainly can't project in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years exactly what the needs will be, but the mechanism to provide for that PD will be in place for the next 5 years. It includes increases to induction staff because we have hired a significant number of new teachers, and it requires additional staffing. And from among those 10 areas, we did identify some specifically that we wanted to target, even though we will end up targeting all of those areas when we plan the PD. But one of them is to focus on inclusive practices for students with exceptional needs. As you know, and as you will be getting a lot more information in the months to come, the growth in TK early childhood offerings by this district. Even something as simple as substitute teacher training. We are onboarding as many substitutes as we can right now. And I know Dr. Ferris has planned PD for them, and this grant is going to be able to provide for that. And then I think it's important to note that that the teacher PD represents 75% of the budgeted money. They're our largest group with daily instructional content with students. The other group that has significant daily contact with students are our paraeducators and our clerical staff who do work directly with students. And just backtracking slightly, in the AB 86 plan that you approved, we provided 3 additional days of paraeducator PD this year. There was a 10% set aside required in the AB 86 plan of that money to go towards paraeducator staffing and training. And there's actually enough money in that to provide 2 additional days next year as that money expires. And so what we were able to do with this is we were able to add a 4th day this year and then a 3rd day next year with 3 days the following 3 years for the paraeducators. And so that is significant. And then we will also plan site clerical training and for our paraeducators, our instructional assistants, our site clerical, this dollar amount represents 18% of the total budget. And then third, it allows for administrator PD. And this can include aspiring administrators, brand new administrators, and then ongoing training for current administrators. It can include PLC and response to intervention administrator training, as well as in the same allowable categories as for teachers and paraeducators. And this represents 7% of the total funding from the grant. You have a link to the overall budget, and today is the presentation. This is one of those budgets that require a presentation and then an adoption at a subsequent meeting. So so I will conclude and ask if you have any questions about this grant.
Any questions from Trustee Park?
Oh, I guess this is more a general question with increasing, I think, increased PD. It's wonderful. I was curious when the additional PD will be scheduled for and how that might affect student instructional time.
So that's such a timely question. I mentioned subs. Subs are a challenge right now. And our intent is to one, have the teachers teaching their students on a daily basis. So from a budgeting standpoint, these 6 hours were planned for additional PD, paid PD for teachers in the summer, which will not pull them away from instruction with students. As times change, it is possible that future years, this could include a mix of sub-release time versus paid time in the summer. Different teachers will have different opinions on which is preferable. But from a budgeting standpoint, this was based on 6 hours of paid PD per teacher per summer. And then I think part of your question was also kind of the determination of what that PD would be. I'll just use 2 summers ago as an example. We had during COVID, we had the instructional planning committee, and we had a group of teachers who got feedback from their sites and gave us a list of topics that they wanted PD on the most. And it ended up being a very healthy process. And if I remember that summer, we provided PD on virtual reading instruction, on online engagement strategies for students, and a few other things, in addition to our normal summer PD to meet the needs of the teachers. We did that last summer, and we will continue to do that each year through a process of gathering from teachers and paraeducators and site principals, the kinds of training that teachers want and need. And we will add it to our menu of summer PD that teachers then are able to select from.
Vice President Han?
So just a quick, great presentation. You lived it up. You did a great job. Thanks. But just a question. Just when you're trying to figure out the allocation and all these kind of things, who was part of this group? Was it just you guys as staff, as district? Were there any? So was TTA involved at this at all? Was there any consultation, having a discussion with TTA, saying, "Hey, this is what we're thinking. We feel like this will be helpful. This will be beneficial." Have you any input with TTA on this, out of curiosity?
So I have a partial answer to that.
Yeah.
And then I think I can defer to Dr. Crumpy, who also had some meetings. Is that a lot of this PD, like when we set aside hours for teachers in the future, as of today, we do not have those topics attached to that, because we will be seeking input on the topics and the content that teachers need. This was a monetary planning standpoint, knowing that we were putting a majority of the funding towards teachers. But same thing with the discussion with CSEA 845. This was setting aside the opportunity to provide the PD by connecting the funding to the days, but the content is on an annual basis is going to be a future task, so that the PD is timely. We would not want to determine what we were doing 3 summers from now. We don't know the conditions that we'll be under in those 3 summers. So that's the general approach to this. We did identify the handful of things we know are coming, right? We know TK is coming. We know an ethnic studies curriculum is coming. We know that we need induction support for teachers. So we set aside, but the majority of the money topically is to be determined. And let me defer to Dr. Crumpy, who I do know had some discussion with groups.
No, Dr. McDowell's right. So you see the categories and the inclusion and special ed work with what we're seeing is additionally. And then we try, because you heard the number of plans that are being thrown at us, that we really try to do this consultation and this feedback through our committee work and then our LCAP process. And then we need to hear what the what is, and then we can figure out the how. And we'd rather get the feedback on what they need, and then we'll figure out what fund it might go through. If it's part of our goal 6, that's part of our ESSER and AB 86 monies, or if it's part of our supplemental or if it's part of educator effectiveness. And so really what our focus is on is what they need. And then we'll go back at the how. So it's part of our annual consultation that we do with our groups.
Right. And I appreciate that. Okay, the content's going to change regardless, right? That's going to be whatever you guys decide at that point. But I think that to have the initial discussion, though, letting them know and be aware of the the allotment, right? We're 75%, 18%. They may want to have like at least a discussion. Maybe they might have great insight because they're on the front lines, right? They're the ones in the classrooms. They're the ones who are assessing the needs. They're going to struggle itself, right? And I think that it would be good to hear a voice from them, just as whatever they can add, you can ask them or just get suggestions, just to kind of like have them a part of the conversation. I think that would be helpful. You're asking us to think about this and to look into this, but I'm not on the front line. I'm not in the classroom. I don't know. I can't assess what the real needs are in the classroom situation and all of that. But I think it's just a matter of communication, right? It's just communicating with our teachers, right? This is for the teachers, right? And so it'd be nice to say, hey, this is what we're thinking. This is what our ideas are, just so that they're aware, whether or not they say anything or not, at least they're aware of what we're thinking, of what we're planning, of what direction we're going with this, so that I'm sure that they would greatly appreciate that kind of direction or kind of like input from us as well as you're presenting this to us, whether not only that, but classified the paraeducators, right? Even that's not that much more. I wish we can actually increase that amount for the paraeducation section, because that's a huge need that we're going to have right now, I think. And so I think it's just a matter of having just that initial, because this is a huge thing. This is great, by the way, Kevin, 5.4 minutes to do this. This is fantastic. But I want to make sure that we optimize it and we take completely advantage of it. And I think that it would be helpful if at least we had that initial dialogue with them saying, hey, this is something that we're able to do. This is how we're thinking about going about doing this. And I think that kind of communication will build trust and mutual relationship there.
Thank you, Mr. Han. Anybody else? Thank you very much, Dr. McDowell. It's a wonderful presentation. Now we are going to item 9, public hearing. 9.1, public hearing and board initial response to the Torrance Teachers Association's initial proposal for 2021 to 2022. Let's see. The Torrance Teachers Association initial proposal for 2021-2022 was submitted at the regular meeting of the Board of Education held on October 18th, 2021. Copies of the proposal have been available online as attached to that meeting's agenda and in the Human Resources Department for review by the public. A public hearing will be held on the Torrance Teacher Association initial proposal at this time. Is there any public comment related to the Torrance Teachers Association initial proposal for 2021 to 22? There is. Chief Mara, please have the speaker be connected.
Go ahead, Julie. Ms. Schenkel, if you can hear me, you can go ahead and unmute your mic.
Did Ms. Schenkel only want to speak on 9.1? Or is there anything else? No. Ms. Schenkel, are you there?
I'm here, but I did not turn in a card.
Sorry.
No problem, Chief Mayor. Once in a while, you have oversight things. So I see that there are no suggestions from the public related to the proposal. Sorry about that, Ms. Schenkel. Okay, then I shall close the public hearing. And the Board of Education looks forward to the continuation of cooperative, good faith contract negotiations with the Torrance Teachers Association. The board's initial response is to refer to Torrance Teachers Association initial proposal for 2021 to 22 to the board's representative for negotiations. Item 9.2, a very similar item, but it is the public hearing and board initial response to the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to the Torrance Teachers Association for 2021 to 22. This was submitted at the regular meeting of the Board of Education held on October 18th, 2021. Copies of this proposal have been available online as attached to that meeting's agenda and in the Human Resources Department for review by the public. A public hearing will be held on the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to Torrance Teachers Association for 21 to 22 at this time. Is there any public comment related to the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to Torrance Teachers Association for 2021 to 22?
There are none, President Liu,
You sure now, Chief Mara?
unless my boss tells me otherwise. Good one.
It's all right. Thank you, Chief Mara. I see no comments from the public here in person either, so I shall close this public hearing. The Board of Education looks forward to the continuation of cooperative, good faith contract negotiations with the Torrance Teachers Association. The board's initial response is to defer to the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to Torrance Teachers Association for 2021 to 22 to the board's representative for negotiations. This concludes item number 9.1 and 9.2. Agenda number 10, oral communications on unscheduled hearings, which are non-agenda items. The Board of Education welcomes input from the public. Speakers wishing to address the board on non-agenda topics have completed the appropriate submission form on the district website or on the physical cards here. Time allotted for public comments on non-agenda items is limited to 3 minutes per comment and for a total of 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. I'll ask that Dr. Gerson, as the clerk of the board, if you can time the 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
And Vice President Han, can you time the 30 minutes?
Absolutely.
I'm calling speaker number 1, Heather. If you can please come forward and speak. I see. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Please feel free to start.
Okay. Science is never settled. It is always changing. Today's fact can be tomorrow's discarded idea. For example, people used to think the world was flat. Later, experimentation and observation proved that to be false. They thought the planets revolved around the Earth. I'm sure a lot of us think the world revolves around us, but that is also false. The government used to say that smoking was safe. As recent as 1994, the heads of 7 major tobacco corporations testified under oath that nicotine was not addictive. We know that it is. They used to have physicians who did not believe in washing their hands, who infected and killed their patients. They used to remove parts of the brain to treat mental illness. They said glyphosate did not cause cancer. They practiced bloodletting with leeches. I could go on and on. But what about America's doctor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, during the AIDS epidemic, who recommended debilitating drugs to people with AIDS when he knew that there were other drugs that were much more hopeful and promising? My point is, Big Pharma has a long history of deceiving, defrauding, and harming people. Why are we to believe that they are any different now? A tiger cannot change its stripes. So wait, what happened? Why don't we use leeches anymore? Why don't we practice lobotomies? Because someone questioned the science. Merriam-Webster defines science as knowledge about or study of the natural world based on facts learned through experiments and observation. Let's take part of the definition, experiments. Where are the long-term experiments on the COVID-19 vaccine? How can you or anyone else tell us that there will be no long-term side effects on something that has never been evaluated or experimented on long-term? There are numerous studies about masks being harmful to children, but it seems like the board conveniently ignores them and is focused more on what we're wearing on our face than what comes out of our mouths. Selectively choosing which data you listen to is not following science. Science considers all information before making a determination. Science is a process, not exclusive to political parties. The basic tools of science are experimentation, observation, and reasoning. It seems like we have lost the reasoning portion here. Is it possible that our government officials and expert scientists have this wrong? Are you relying on what they say instead of using your own reasoning and observation on the ground to decide what is best for the community that you're supposed to represent? Torrance is not a hotspot, and our kids do not have an elevated risk of death from this virus. We may think we're following science, or you may think you're following science, and us parents are following science too. We just choose to follow scientists and medical professionals who are willing to risk their lives and jobs to expose the agenda. And you're following scientists who have gotten it wrong repeatedly and have no regard for human lives if it means more money for those at the tippy top.
Thank you for your comments, Heather. Speaker number 2, Ms. Linda Varnell, please.
Good evening, Torrance School Board members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Linda Varnell. My husband, Bob, and I have 3 children who currently attend schools at TUSD, and one has already graduated from high school at Torrance High. They are proud third-generation students. And 16 years ago, we chose to buy our home in Torrance for a variety of reasons, to participate in the community and to belong to something bigger than just ourselves. And one of the biggest reasons we purchased here was this amazing school district. I want to first state that we're not anti-mask, we are not anti-vaccination, and we are not anti-COVID vaccination. We are just anti-vaccine mandate for our children. We have also been very impressed with how the school board has handled this ridiculously challenging time and unprecedented time in education. And since the onset of COVID-19, you guys have done such an amazing job pivoting and focusing your leadership on students, the families, their safety, their academics, while communicating very well with us during these challenging times. It's very commendable. One of the ways TUSD has been set apart from other districts, both inside and outside LA County, is the way that you have been very thoughtful about your consideration of family choice, different levels of comfort in regards to safety, and choice is what I really want to highlight and speak on. During the summer of 2020, in the midst of fear, chaos, ever-changing data, numbers, restrictions, suggestions, our district, you all acknowledge this and the individuals comprising our community and their diverse feelings. You made options and choices for families, never vilifying those who made options, who chose the options based on their situation. When you did distance, blended, AM, PM, A, B day, it was just amazing what you guys did for our community. And I commend you for that. This school year, independent study online or in person, you looked at different families and their desires to feel safe and what it looks like for them and giving them choice. Our community is grateful for that. You considered our children as people, not just as students, families, not just taxpayers, and people as humans. You set a precedence for consideration and created schedules, platforms, and access for students in ways that had never been done before. And you honored that diversity of feelings and safety in regards to COVID-19 in our community. This was so respectful of people. Please consider continuing to uphold this and do not implement vaccine mandates for our children. They are our children. Please consider us in this way and our right to feel safe with our autonomy over our own children's bodies, even if it is not the same decision for each one of us in the exact same way at the exact same time. Please do not create situations where families have to remove their children from a school district they love and support in order to be able to do what they believe is best. Please give us more time to feel safe and comfortable like you did in the onset of COVID. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Farnell. Speaker number 3, Ms. Melissa, I'm sorry. Speaker number 3, Mr. Dean Thies.
Hi, my name is Dean, and I'm in second grade at Walteria Elementary School. I'm here to voice my opinion about the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. My family and I were so shocked to hear that the FDA approved the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. Even more surprising were the comments made by those voting on it. Dr. Eric Rubin, one of the voting members, admitted nobody knows the long-term effects of the COVID injection in children, which is why it should be approved. Another voting member was quoted saying, "We're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is until we start giving it. Where's the science in this? I'm not interested in being used as a lab rat to test a vaccine to protect me from a virus that has such a low risk for kids in my age group. If you want to get the vaccine, you should be able to get it. If you don't want it, you should have the freedom to make that choice. I really like my school, my teacher, and my friends. If you require this vaccine, I'm not going to take it, so you will be forcing me to either do homeschooling or to move out of California to another state that still has freedom of choice. It is important to fight this vaccine mandate and stand up for our freedom. This is America. Let's not let it turn into a communist country."
Thank you, Dean. You spoke very well, Dean. Thank you for your comments. Speaker number 4, Ms. Melissa Vanagars.
Hi, school board members. I don't know if any of you watched the FDA Advisory Committee live stream that was on October 26th, but I sure did. I wanted to make sure I heard what all the FDA members had to say. So I'm going to read you a few things that I remember and took notes on. Dr. Hong shared some facts that 45% of 5 to 11 age group already has immunity to the COVID-19 virus. Regarding the vaccine, she stated that they don't have the data, they don't have the efficacy, and don't know the percentage of myocarditis. Dr. Richards said there isn't any population data for the 5 to 11 age range and hoping to have 50% lower cases of myocarditis. Dr. Michael stated that prior infection is as good as the vaccination and that there's very little data on reduced transmission and the theoretically possibility of herd immunity. Dr. Cody said 1 per 100,000 children were infected, but now it has fallen to 0.4 per 100,000 children getting infected with the virus, which results in 50% less in hospitalizations. It's not even clear that this vaccine will reduce rates of transmission. We're hoping that's the case, but we simply don't know. This vaccine will probably not prevent infection. It's probably going to prevent serious disease. This vaccine should be available for those parents who are eager to get it for their children because of an underlying health condition or they're concerned for themselves. But my worry, if we say yes, that the states are going to mandate it for children to go to school, and I don't agree until we get more information about the safety. Dr. Mark Sawyer stated that only 20% of the people in the hospital who tested positive for COVID are actually being treated for COVID. He then said, we're not going to get the data unless we start using this vaccine. Dr. Eric Rubin said it should be a personal choice. He also stated we're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is unless we start giving it. Dr. James Hildreth stated that 30 million children already have natural immunity in our country, and vaccinating all children is a bit much. I am a mother of 4, and I am concerned with the state and schools forcing it and encouraging children to get this experimental vaccine that has no safety data yet and is not yet supported by science. A lot of parents are concerned because of the facts and data and adverse reaction already happening with the older age groups. Did you know that all the current school required vaccines took 10 to 20 years before it was mandated to attend school? We do not consent in having our children participate in the clinical trials. We have to stand up for our children and their future. We come to the board meetings hoping you guys hear us and address our concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Vanagars. Thank you for your comments. Speaker number 5, Mr. Mark Lobovic.
My name is Mark. I have a son in Torrance School District. and I was brought to my attention that in his school, first of all, before I say anything, I want to ask you a question. Do you guys teach critical race theory in your school district?
This is oral comments. I'm actually
Oh, okay.
not
Oh, no
allowed to
questions. Okay.
respond.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, I was brought to my attention that Sarah Perlman is teaching this very toxic, radical Marxist theory. There should be no place in our school. I came from a communist country. I smell a rat, and this is not good. I'm really sorry to mention this. You guys look intelligent. You don't look like a bunch of backwoods. I want you to listen very carefully. Critical race theory, it's a page out of Communist Manifesto. Should not be in this beautiful country. This is number one. Number two, with the vaccine. This vaccine is on emergency approved. This is not something that should be imposed on kids. As my former, the other lady that talked here, there are very many concerns on the side effects. One of them is myocarditis, that it's a long effect on our kids. They should not be vaccinated, mandated. When they get to be an adult, they can do whatever they want to do. Until then, I'm hoping that you guys will consider, this and should not mandate the vaccines. And also, I'm very, very concerned about your curriculum, how you pin one race against the other race, oppressors and oppressed. There should not be a place for that in this Torrance School District, in this country. I cannot speak for other states. However, you guys know what happened in Virginia. There was a wake-up call for every single member to think twice before you indoctrinate our kids, because this is not cool. Thank you. And I hope you listen to what I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Lovovic, for your comments. Speaker number 6, Mr. Ken Thompson, please.
Thank you very much, school board. My name is Ken Thompson. I'm going to unmask for 5 seconds without breathing so you can actually see me. Thank you.
Okay.
It's good to see you. I live in West Torrance and I'm a retired Air Force officer, also retired from Hughes Aircraft Company. I'm a former school superintendent. I have grandkids in grade school, living in West Torrance. I appreciate what I've heard here today. Your school district seems to be leaning into the student needs. And I'm very impressed with your emphasis on advanced courses. I hope that you have an equal emphasis on the trades. I'm a big fan of Mike Rowe. I think his message is very important. So I had 3 girls graduate from college, all with honors, but I had a son who right now is in the trades and is a master craftsman. So I think those things need equal emphasis. I'm here representing parents and grandparents in our schools who want education and not indoctrination. We want diversity of ideas to be included within our schools, respect for diverse opinions. We don't want to see a prescribed doctrine in the curriculum. We want children to be taught how to think and not what to think. I had a full scholarship from the United States Air Force. I was not told or taught what to think. I was taught how to think. And that helped me to build 13 satellites for the defense of the United States. I think that's very important. So we'd like for our teachers to teach the academic curriculum and not be teaching their own version of values and morals. That's up to the parents. For the parents and for the teachers, let us do the value teaching. That's not for the school to decide. I'd like to thank Mark for what he said about his experience coming from a communist country. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for your comments and for your public service in the military. Thank you. Speaker number 7, Ms. Kendra Wisner.
Hi, guys. Okay, this is Chief. I am a West High alumnus, and this is our mascot. So I have some comments on this guy. Is that your YouTube cameras, just for anybody who's watching at home? So he's sadly one of the many disappearing minority mascots. He more or less vanished from the West High logo amid the pandemic shutdown, just following a call for his removal by a climate activist who does not and never has lived in Torrance, nor is she Native American. Perhaps it was just a casualty of rebranding, like the ghosts of maple syrup and butter packaging, leaving the aisles of the grocery store a pristine white, full of Cracker Jacks and Little Debbies. I never actually learned why the image was removed because neither the principal nor the superintendent responded to my inquiry. There is a small remnant of him left on the marquee, which was donated by Honda, and probably they can't replace it because it's expensive, I assume. So I can only assume at this point that a decision was made due to social pressure, and with little to no regard for the 6 decades that this man represented the students who filled the halls of West High. That's 3 generations. My mom was a warrior. My aunts and uncle were warriors. My friends and now their children were warriors, are warriors. We weren't arrows or W's. And the reinstatement of this Native man is significant to me for 2 reasons. One, because TUSD needs to practice the inclusion that they preach. Eliminating non-white mascots from schools and products is exclusive, so it's backward in my opinion. Myself and the parents who are speaking here tonight are the underdogs, just like this Native man and his tribe. And when the progress train came to this continent, it did not slow to preserve his culture and traditions. It brought with it a substance we know as alcohol that infected and crippled his community and continues to do so to this day. He was called a savage, uncivilized. We know what that's like. My tribe, the terrorists, the misinformed, who do not accept the progressive culture. We don't want your drugs. We don't want to dress like you. I know some people like this, not for me. And we don't want to engage in your rituals. We want to preserve our traditions, which I think once too were some of yours. I don't know what's happened. And whether or not you agree, you are obligated to represent us. Hundreds of alumni agree that West High should reinstate the warrior mascot. If not, rest assured he will be back for that arrow, which it seems they have kept. And if the board continues to represent the interests of teachers unions over students and parents, then my tribe will be back.
Thank
for
you,
some of
Ms.
those
Werner.
seats. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, Ms. Wisner. Speaker number 8, Mr. Arthur Shopper.
Pronouncing my last name right.
Very good. My name is Arthur Schopper. I'm the organization director for Mass Resistance. For over a year, I have been working with parents here in Torrance Unified, as well as parents in different school districts throughout the state and the United States. But here in Torrance, we've already exposed Black Lives Matter and LGBT propaganda in the classroom and in several schools here in the district. Parents have shared with me horrible stories of teachers who whine about their white privilege, that would be Kelsey Redgrift, harming the students in the class and pushing false identity politics. Teachers like Sarah Perlman at Richardson Middle School have set up gay-straight alliances, pushing all kinds of sexual perversion on students, many of whom at that age are already dealing with a great degree of confusion, transition, and turmoil. Teachers like Margaret Cunningham at West High promote hate groups like the Human Rights Campaign, whose leadership included a man charged with sexual battery against minors. And the previous president was forced to resign after coaching a former disgraced governor who was covering up his sexual misconduct. Marianne Pignotti at Torrance High School actually said to students in her class, "There are too many white people on these posters." What kind of bigotry are we allowing these teachers to get away with in the class? You have teachers also like Junius Welch and Nicholas Weber at West High, who also push Black Lives Matter ideological talking points in their classrooms. I am really disturbed to find that a disgraced former superintendent named Louvel Brown and his critical race theory racket is coming to Torrance High School later this week. How much is the school district paying these consultants to stand around and tell teachers and students that they are racist or oppressed simply because of their skin color? Yeah, I'm naming names. And it's time for Torrance Unified to do its job and start crafting some serious policies to deal with this massive problem. Now, Trustee Gerson and Superintendent Stowe informed me in the past that you were creating a policy to ensure that no student or teacher misuses an official logo within the Torrance Unified universe. But we need some clear policies to crack down on the rank and brazen politicization in the classroom. This is not a freedom of speech issue. Students in a classroom are a captive audience. They do not have the freedom to walk out or object when teachers are pushing their own program or their own agendas. And furthermore, normalizing hateful ideologies like the LGBT agenda or the Black Lives Matter movement, they should be strictly banned. If teachers want to create a set of activists to push these harmful programs, they should go work in some advocacy group or some other nonprofit. They shouldn't be doing it in the classroom. They're supposed to be teaching kids how to think, not what to think. They have no business normalizing sexual perversion as a civil right. They have no right to implement systemic racism while
Thank you,
claiming to
Mr. Sharper.
eradicate systemic racism. Thank you.
Speaker number 9, Ms. Nicole Caesars.
Hello, once again. I want to thank you for where you've stood thus far in terms of the vaccine mandate. I can't imagine being a parent of an LA Unified child right now. I just can't imagine having to make a choice. Do I educate my child? Do they get an in-person education? Or do I risk having them die? That is what it comes down to. That is the choice. I can't say, I mean, everything's been said pretty much already. I probably don't have much else to say. That little boy said it all. And my kids will be following suit. They will have to leave. They love the Torrance schools. You guys, we're proud to be Torrance parents. We're proud to be in part of Torrance schools. And this just is not right. And when you're looking at, this is a safe and effective study, you have to understand, Pfizer, first of all, has paid over $33.5 billion in lawsuits and fraud charges. They have been up on fraud. They paid fines. They committed fraud. They committed bribery. They bribed doctors. So when you're saying this is where the science is coming from, it's only as good as the scientists. And if you care about our children, you will look at this research like every one of the parents who know with every fiber of their being, with every cell in their body, that this is not a good thing for our children. This age range, there is no risk. There really is virtually no risk. In Taiwan right now, just came out that the number of deaths from the vaccine, they outnumber the COVID deaths. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The number of deaths from the vaccine have now outnumbered the deaths from COVID. So I just can't imagine that you would enforce something that could kill our children when clearly we don't have children in Torrance schools dropping dead from COVID-19. I mean, is anyone else aware of that happening? Are there numbers? I know you can't answer me. It's not an interactive process, but I don't believe that's the case. And so I have to say that the numbers are going to go up of deaths if this vaccine is mandated. And I don't want to have to stand back here and say, I told you so, but that is going to happen. And like someone else said, myocarditis, they say it's a mild case. No, the heart muscle starts to die and it continues to die. Okay, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's a death sentence. So mild myocarditis in young teenage boys it's common. It's a lot more common. Ask Ernest Ramirez, who lost his son, 16 years old. So
Thank you, Ms. Caesars, for your comments.
Consider this seriously.
Speaker number 10, Mr. William Arevalo.
Can I give it to someone? Hi there, good evening. I honestly, I don't have any notes. I'm gonna speak from the heart here. First, I want to thank you guys all for paying really close attention. That's one of the things that I've got to say. I tuned in to the call about 3 weeks ago or so, and I didn't know what to expect. So I'm glad I made it. So I want to thank you all, first of all, for being paying close attention and listening to the parents or all folks that are speaking. Also, a lot of what I want to say, like everyone's already said it, but I really do. I really enjoyed the way you expressed yourself, and I forgot if you're speaker number 2, 3-ish, but you know, you said it well. I enjoy the way that communication is going, is happening. Everyone's being respectful, and just really paying close attention. So anyway. So, okay, so it didn't get passed around, but what I wanted to show you is a picture of my family. So here you go, that's me, my wife, who's an educator, and then my 4 girls, 3 of which are in school, South, Richardson, and Walteria. And then I got a little one who I hope, you know, she goes through the school system. I love Torrance. I can't say enough about the school system and why I chose to raise my family here. The second picture is a pretty strong picture. I know it's black and white, but what you're seeing here is one group, and I won't name it. It's just one group that's a privileged group, another that is not a privileged group. I don't know what I would call it, but this is in World War II, okay? And then here, closer to home, it's another picture. It doesn't matter what the little titles say. It's just one privileged group versus another group. And I feel that that's kind of what's happening or will be happening, not happening yet, but will happen if we accept the vaccine mandate. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-mask. If that's what we want to have, that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. But I am the anti what I feel is an unethical mandate, mandate that is an unvaccinated segregation, discrimination, an unvaccinated, for those that are not vaccinated. Now, you know, I feel that that's what's happening. And the mistake that's happened in the 60s, the 50s and all of that, and in World War II is those that were chose to remove themselves from a conversation of a community. We're a community of one. Look, I just, all I'm asking is that you guys consider whether you're vaccinated or not to remove yourself. from
Thank
the
you,
conversation.
Mr. Arevalo.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
30 minutes.
Okay.
That's in 30 minutes.
Well, 30 minutes is a lot of time for oral communications for unscheduled hearings on non-agenda items. At this point, does any of my board members want to extend the time, or should we continue on?
How many cards do we have left, Mr. President?
We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 more cards, and that's only.
Plus online.
And how many online speakers do we have, Chief Mar?
I have 2, but they are not appearing on the list.
I actually don't think there are that many. I would
suggest
like
we
to
extend
extend,
it.
I would like to extend it. Oh, one more. Okay. So that comes out to be about nine speakers. I think another 30 minutes is fine.
That's fine.
Is that okay with all of you? 30 minutes. And start the clock also for
Yes.
30 minutes.
Got it.
Our next speaker is speaker number 11, Mr. Eric Nielsen.
Do we have to take a vote on that? Point
I
of
don't
order.
think we need a vote.
Don't we need to take a vote on that?
It's kind of procedure, so.
No, we've always taken a motion and a second and a vote.
To extend time?
We've
We
always
could
done
do
that.
that. I move to extend the time for public comments by another 30 minutes.
Second.
I really don't think that
There's
we
been a
need a
motion.
motion. If you guys feel, because it's procedural, but if you guys feel better, it makes you feel better to go that way, then it's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion, it's unanimous and motion carries. Hope you, for sure now it's okay. So Mr. Nilsson? Thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Dr. Crumpy, are you turning the temperature up?
I'm sorry? Okay, so next person is, I have to go in order. It's Miss Suzanne Fukunaga, speaker number 12. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, everybody. My name is Suzanne Fukunaga. I'm a proud resident of Torrance for 35 years. I moved here when my second son was only 6 months old by the recommendation of our car insurance specialist, Don Lee. I'm sure some of you must recognize that name. He shared with me that Torrance was a great place to raise a family. I investigated this, and at the time, West High was one of the highest rated high schools in California. I was persuaded easily after I visited Torrance. I met with an elementary school principal who took the time to talk to me. And I felt a great sense of community when I walked into the school. My 3 children, Nicholas, Spencer, and Taylor, went to Ann's Elementary, Jefferson Middle School, and West High. My family and I call Torrance home and hope to raise the next generation here. We all now live in South Torrance. My son's sons, my grandsons, will attend Walteria Elementary School in the fall of 2022. We are very excited. I'm reaching out to you about the COVID-19 vaccine mandate that Torrance might mandate for all the students. I am not against the vaccination. Being 67 years old, I believe in the vaccine for people over 65 and persons with underlying conditions. In fact, I encourage these groups to get the shot. This is a pandemic, and I hope we are seeing the end of this soon. I believe the state and all the officials are trying to navigate in uncharted waters, and we all are learning as the information becomes available. I'm a biology major. I believe in science and facts. I'm here to express my point of view, and I would like you to consider. Firstly, I'm not the first one to tell you that the CDC stats show that children have a very low mortality rate and a low rate of having detrimental side effects by getting the virus. However, even though it's very low percentage of children dying and having long-term handicap reactions to the shot, it is still higher and that it is to contract the virus. My grandchildren last year, ages 1 and 3, came down with the virus. It was like a 3-day cold, no temperature. All other required vaccinations are for deadly children diseases. This is not. This is a virus clearly killing older adults, unhealthy, overweight people, and people with underlying condition. Logically, it doesn't make sense to give a child a type of a shot that we do not have the complete long-term side effects of an mRNA technology vaccination. It's unnecessary risk to take. However, if a parent chooses to get their child that vaccine, it is their right, as it is our right not to. Secondly, I'm a professional project manager. That's 3 minutes?
Thank you, Ms.
Oh,
Fukunaga.
I'll never say Don Lee's name again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 13, Elk Winters.
Am I allowed to touch this or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good evening. This is New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster. On May 2nd, 1973, while making a routine traffic stop, he was murdered, executed, shot twice in the back of his head with his own gun. This is Asada Shakur, a revolutionary extremist and the first woman on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list for domestic terrorism, armed robbery, bank robbery, murder, and a fugitive. She was serving a life sentence for the murder of New Jersey Trooper Werner Forster. She escaped to Cuba. Asada wrote, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." These words have been repeatedly chanted in front of the homes of Mayor Fury and Garcetti, as well as inside the Torrance City Council chambers by Black Lives Matter, Los Angeles Chapter 1, headed by co-founder Melina Rachel Ryman Abdullah, a professor at Cal State University, Los Angeles, who worships terrorist, bank robber, murderer, and fugitive Asada Shakur. Abdullah, who has admitted her anti-police activism is part of a larger strategy of advancing a communist revolt, who in numerous news articles about the 2020 riots stated it was by design, a deliberate strategy. The geography was deliberate to target the cities of Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, and the Fairfax district. Not once has she denounced the violence and killings of the 2020 riots, defund the police, not even for the Black children killed. Where are the FBI investigations into Black Lives Matter organization? BLM banners, signs, masks, and flags do not belong in the classroom or on public school property for revolutionary teachers to promote and brainwash the children. BLM symbolizes hate, terror, bullying, destruction, riots, violence, murder, and the advancing of a communist revolt to overthrow the United States of America. Lastly, it appears that the Torrance Teacher Association supports the BLM organization and their intent to lie to the parents about what's being taught in the classroom. On their website, they have a link to rethinkingschools.org to reform schools and defy bans on critical race theory through storytelling as resistance. Parents do not like being lied to about what's being taught in the classroom. To the revolutionary teachers, resign. Board members, please take action. Otherwise, it appears you too support the hate. Ban all BLM propaganda and the racist teachings of critical race theory. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Winters, for your comments. Next person, the next speaker will be Kat Allen. You have a number 2, but you're actually speaker number 14. Kat Allen with a red 2. Okay. Moving on. The speaker with the number 14 is going to be Rosa Parks.
Good afternoon. Once again, you violated the social distancing rules when you took the pictures up there, just as a reminder. 9 years ago, I started studying vaccines when they introduced the Tdap in 7th grade. And back then, the propaganda was that if the children must get vaccinated in order to protect the children that have immune compromised systems and they can't get vaccinated. Well, the propaganda now is if you have an immune compromised system, you are first in line, come get vaccinated. So where is the logic there? I don't get it. So Mr. Hahn, congratulations on this is your son. You're doing a beautiful job, fine young man. And I can see how proud you are of him and how much you love him. And anyone here that's a parent knows our children are number one. And we will do whatever it takes to protect our children. And I want to know, do you know how much percent oxygen by volume your son is getting with that mask on his face? Have there been any tests done by OSHA to assure us that our children are getting the proper amount of oxygen? 19.5% oxygen by volume is what OSHA has established as the minimum amount required in a working condition. What are our children getting? When we inhale oxygen, we exhale less amount of oxygen because some of it gets converted to carbon dioxide. How much oxygen are they getting with this little pocket of air inside here? We don't know. Firefighters have used their industrial meters to insert in here, and it starts beeping almost immediately. Our children are not getting the proper amount of oxygen, and that's not okay. We need answers. We need data. We need science. We need experiments. We are tired of this. It's not okay. It's not okay. You need to advocate for your friends. You go out and get them to
Ms. Parks, please address your comments to us. Thank you.
Get OSHA to give us the answers. That's one. Number two, why are our children, the unvaccinated children, being segregated, retaliated against, and discriminated against? My child could not go to the homecoming dance because she is not vaccinated. She's required to stick a swab up her nose. Why? CDC states that if you're vaccinated, you can contract COVID and you can also infect others with COVID, as we've seen with fully vaccinated Jen Psaki and Mayor Garcetti. Why are our children being discriminated against? It is not okay. It is not okay. I want my child to go to grad night. I want her to go to prom, and I don't want her to have to stick a swab up her nose when a vaccinated child is not required to do so. It is not okay. You guys are on our team. We need to band together. You need to stand up for us. You need to fight for us. It is not okay to discriminate. We are fed up. We need to be a team. Fascism and communism is not a choice, not an option. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Parks. Speaker holding number 15, Ms. Marilyn Rose Carlo.
I think that there is no reason for this COVID vaccine. I just want to be normal again. I just want to be free and be able to hug all my friends again. I just don't like these masks, and I don't think anyone else enjoys it either. It's best that our parents should decide what to do with our bodies, not our government. I believe in my immune system. My survival is 99.9%. Leave us kids alone. I'm speaking up for all of my friends and family. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you for your comments. And you also are a pretty good speaker. You speak well, so good job. Speaker who holds the number 16, Travis Rice.
Hi, good evening. This is my first board meeting. I didn't have anything prepared. I just want to talk a little about some common sense things I see, and I think this all needs to be looked at. We're getting a lot of information from a lot of different sources, and they've been wrong on a lot of different things. The thing I trust is my own eyes. My good friend's 9-year-old daughter received the vaccine 2 days ago. Yesterday, they had to call 911. She had a seizure for the first time in her entire life. My other friend got the vaccine. We're both firefighters together. He got the vaccine at work. 12 hours later, transported to the emergency room at Cedars-Sinai with pericarditis. He's gonna have to deal with that the rest of his life. Another friend of mine, his grandmother, she's elderly, but she is also not in a nursing home. She's in good health, received the vaccine, died 2 days later. These are things I see with my own eyes. These are friends of mine. We also transport many people in the community. Not once have we taken a child to the hospital with COVID. Not once through this entire pandemic, okay? The common sense tells us that kids are not affected by COVID. They do not die of COVID. There is no risk to children of COVID. The only thing that people can talk about with any kind of sense is that they could stop spreading COVID. That is also not true. We know now that you can be vaccinated and spread COVID, just like all the number of people that we're going on right now in the city of Los Angeles. And we ask them when they're diagnosed with COVID, have you had the vaccine? The majority of them are vaccinated people. Okay, these are things I see with my own eyes. I don't even need to trust what the news media is telling me, what other doctors are telling me. I see it with my own eyes. Okay, we've left common sense behind through this entire pandemic, and you guys need to be on board and put common sense and science and data back into the school district and act for our children and not allow this vaccine mandate to go through. It's very easy to look at other states, other counties that have not put these mask mandates in, these vaccine mandates in. They do not have kids that are spreading disease. They don't have kids dying of disease. It's common sense. And you guys need to employ that in this school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. This concludes the oral communications from in-person speakers. Chief Mara, are there any online?
There are none.
There are none.
None.
All right.
Can I ask 2 questions of Dr. Still?
Is this regarding an agenda item or?
Well, I think it's okay to ask for a step stool for our we've had 3 young speakers tonight. Maybe we can get something so that they can stand up and be seen at future board meetings?
Certainly.
I think that's a good idea, but next time put it to the oral communications, okay? All right, item number 11. 11.1, discussion and action items. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda topics have completed the appropriate submission form on the district website. Please be advised that the time allotted for the public comments on agenda items is limited to 3 minutes per comment. Time allotted for each agenda item is 30 minutes per topic. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. Chief Mar, are there any speakers wishing to address any of these discussion items?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Item number 11.2, approval of proposed board policies update, September 2021 revision, and this is the first reading. Trustee Park?
Yeah, I just wanted to call attention to BP 1114B and the importance of protecting student and employee privacy on social media platforms, particularly in light of the comments that were shared. I just wanted to reemphasize the importance of being mindful of what personal information is being shared without consent for both our students and employees, because it can cause safety and security risks. And I think you never truly know what other people's circumstances are and the risks that are involved with sharing their personal information. I think that if you are able to do some research on doxing and the different terrible things that have happened to individuals when their privacy is being violated. I truly hope that our district sets a great example in protecting student and employee privacy, and other members of our community as well can be mindful of what they share and how they share it, and make sure that people are protected online. So and in our physical environment. So.
Good comments, Trustee Park.
I have a couple.
Dr. Gerson, you may speak.
I noticed that in the board policy, as Ms. Park pointed out, that student privacy was specifically pulled out when they're, it is a board policy and it was brought into this, but others that we have are acceptable use and non-fraternization policies, but they're not specifically mentioned here again in this social media policy. And that kind of stands out in my mind as equally important. Another aspect of the board policy, last board meeting, I talked about how the state legislature was now dictating when secondary schools can start, and now also messing with our ability to set local graduation requirements. And even though the board policy written is trying to align with that, it's temporary, something that I'm, morally going to be objectionable to.
Thank you for your comments. In regards to your first point, did you want to make amendments to, or any revisions to the proposed board policy to
Well,
address some of the things that you say are left out?
I'd like staff to look into adding that so that those other points, not just student privacy, but acceptable use and non-fraternization are also included in our social media policy. So if anyone just looks at that specifically, they understand that it is something that concerns us.
Okay, yes. Dr. Stowe, can we go ahead and do that?
Sure, we can take a look at that, and what is here is the CSBA language, and so we can bring back at the next time we do policy updates an amendment just to make that revision based on legal counsel. We'll just run it by to make sure we're all good.
Good, yes. I think CSBA provide very general provisions, and it'd be great if we can tweak it to what we might like here. Thank you. So we'll move on to item number 11.3, unless there are more comments on 11.2. All right, 11.3.
Madam President, this, you need to vote on this?
Oh, I still
to
do.
adopt these, and
Before
this
the
is the first
amendment?
reading.
Mhm.
Yeah, because there are a number of other updates here as well. So if you
Sure, I will call for,
approve these, but then you can, this is the first reading, remember? So if you'd like, we can bring back an amendment, or bring back the change to the December meeting, or you can waive the first reading, approve these, and then at a subsequent meeting, we can bring back the change.
I actually think it might be better if we just approve them as a whole together instead of certain parts. And we can go ahead and approve this first reading, correct? And then you will make the revisions to it for us to look at the next board meeting. Yes?
When we
then you don't need to. Yeah, then you don't need to prove it. So we'll bring it
Okay,
back. In
that's what I
December.
thought. Okay, originally thought, you confused me there. If we have to revise it, I don't think that we need a motion to approve.
Got it.
So good. Item number 11.3, ratification of the agreement for employment of superintendent of schools between Torrance Unified School District and Dr. Timothy Stowe. Okay, it is now time to consider item 11.3 on the agenda, where it is recommended that the board members and Dr. Stowe ratify the attached agenda agreement for employment of superintendent of schools between Torrance Unified School District and Dr. Timothy H. Stowe, effective July 23rd, 2021. It was on July 23rd, 2021, that the Board of Education appointed Dr. Stowe as superintendent of schools of the Torrance Unified School District. This recommended action tonight will ratify the attached agreement for employment with Dr. Stowe for the term to June 30th, 2025. The agreement was reviewed and approved by the District Legal Counsel. Do I have a motion to ratify the agreement between the Board of Education on behalf of the Torrance Unified School District and Dr. Stowe?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimously, the motion is passed. All right, congratulations, Dr. Stowe. Our next item is 11.4, approval of agreements for employment between the Torrance Unified School District and the Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Katie Crumpy, and the Chief Business Officer, Dr. Keith Butler. Dr. Stowe?
Thank you, President Liu, and thank you, Board, for, again, as I said on the 22nd of July, just how humbled and honored I am to be able to continue in this role and your confidence in the work that we are all doing here in TUSD. So with that, it is time to consider this item 11.4, which brings forth a recommendation for employment agreements for both the Chief Academic Officer as well as the Chief Business Officer of TUSD. Previously, when I was the Deputy Superintendent and CBO, I had a contract, and that contract was extended to Dr. Butler when he came to TUSD in the summer of 2020. His contract expires in June of 2022. And so in looking at the organization, I felt that it was in the best interest to bring forth two agreements, one for Dr. Butler, as well as to have Dr. Crumpy as the Chief Academic Officer, to have these two positions aligned for the future of the district. And so you've got before you the employment agreements, which are similar in format, with the date term of June 30th, 2025. And the agenda item also sets for the responsibilities and as well as compensation and benefits. At this time, I'm recommending that the board approve the attached employment agreements for Dr. Crumpy as Chief Academic Officer and Dr. Butler for Chief Business Officer. Thank you.
I would like to have separate motions for these. Is there a motion to approve Dr. Crumpy's agreement, or actually you have questions?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please go ahead.
We already heard it this evening from one of the speakers, kind of misunderstanding the contracts before us. And so I want to thank my fellow board members and Dr. Stowe for supporting this action. I read an article a couple years back from a Me Too advocate who wrote that women need allies in their efforts for equity. And the first people they should look to are fathers whose firstborn are daughters. When Dr. Muhammad told me he was going to have a daughter, I shared with him some stories about Aurora, because those of us in that club know that your daughter looks at you in differently than anyone else in the world. And really, the wrapping around of the finger, and it's so true.
I only have sons. Are you saying something here?
I'm sorry, but I shouldn't tell this story, but she does. My daughter owns me. My daughter's owned me since she was 2 seconds old.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear, Dr. Muhammad.
My wife is still angry that when she came out, the doctor handed her to me first. When my grandmother, born in the Carpathian Mountains, found out that I was going to have a daughter, she grabbed my arm and she said, "It's okay. Your next one will be a boy." And I had told all my male friends that if having a daughter is a curse, may you all be cursed with a daughter, because there is nothing better than a daughter. So, I expected, I didn't expect the criticisms to come before the vote, but I don't know if people know, but Chief Business Officer has been primarily male dominated. We do have a couple of local districts within the last couple of years who have had women enter in as CBOs now, but Chief Academic Officers are dominated by women, Palos Verdes, Redondo, all the way up Santa Monica, Malibu. And that's our primary business, is the education of children. And the Chief Academic Officer runs that. And for the longest time, CBOs who, the argument has been supply and demand. Ever since I took office and we get those notices of openings, there's always 3 to 12 openings for a CBO throughout the state of California. And you don't see Chief Academic Officers or Superintendents of Educational Services because there are more of them. But that's not a good excuse to value them more, especially when the Chief Academic Officer does such an important and key role. And so this board is really taking a stand and valuing them equally and valuing our one female cabinet member equally. And so I know she doesn't like being the center of attention and probably didn't want the contract, but we value you and we appreciate your decades of service. And I hope that this is, I know it's going to be even more than we intend, because now all of the other local districts are going to have to look at their chief academic officers differently as well. So I want to compliment and thank the board for this.
Thank you, Dr. Gerson. Any other comments on the board? I can entertain a motion for either one right now. If we approve it, yes.
Move to motion approved for Dr. Butler for his employment agreement contract.
Good.
Seconded.
Separately, please.
Seconded.
You second it? Oh, great. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Butler.
Yay.
Speech? Just kidding. I'll move that we accept Dr. Crumpy's contract.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Crumpy. We very much cherish you. Not that we don't cherish you. I just want to make a comment to my fellow female. All right. Too much fun we're having here. 11.5 is nominations for the California School Board Association, also known as CSBA, Delegate Assembly. This delegates with terms that end in 2022 are up for re-election. Delegates elected in 2022 will serve a 2-year term beginning April 1st, 2022. Currently, we have our board member, Dr. Jeremy Gerson, as a delegate. His term is about to expire. Would you like to be renominated for this position again?
I would like to ask for a renomination. Yes.
And is there anybody else? Are there any other candidates that anyone want to nominate? Okay, I can use a motion for us to nominate Dr. Gerson.
I move to nominate Dr. Gerson. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. You are our official nomination.
Well, thank you.
Good luck.
COVID kind of ruined it. I was so looking forward to being in person. Zoom meetings are not the same. So I'm looking forward to the delegate assembly meeting coming up at the end of November here.
Great. Consent agenda. Yes, I need to read this one. Approval of consent agenda as a whole. All matters listed on the consent agenda, which are general functions consent through administrative services bond consent, are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one vote. There's no discussion of consent calendar items unless members of the governing board, public, or staff request that specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Board members, does anybody want to pull an item from our consent agenda?
Yes. Can I pull 13.9, 15.7, and 16.3?
Got it. Anyone else? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve the rest of the items, and please list them?
Move to approve 13.1 through 19.2 with the exception of 13.9, 15.7, and 16.3.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries to approve those consent items. Trustee Park, would you like to address 13.9?
I will need guidance on how to address it, but just wanted to state that I do not support the recommendation to expel case number 8-21/22.
Okay. We cannot disclose the details of this confidential file. So your
President Lou, I just think there
Just
needs
for-
to be,
A vote.
she pulled it, but it's still an item. So if there's a,
I'm actually asking if there are any more comments on this. And so that her comments are noted.
Got it.
But we still need to make a motion to approve it.
Correct.
I would also like to make a comment as well on this motion. I too do not recommend to expel case number 8-21-22.
Okay. Any other comments from my board members? And if anyone wants to make a motion to approve, or we can leave it alone.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the principal, the district, and everyone who came before us to expel case 08-2122. I'll second.
Okay. Do we need a roll? I can just do it by voice, right? I don't need a roll call?
Correct.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
And no abstentions here. 3-2, the motion carries to follow the recommendation to expel case number 08-2122. Item number 15.7, and this is approval for associated student body clubs to make donations to select charitable organizations. Trustee Park?
Yeah, I just wanted to call attention to the dedication to service that's been demonstrated by our students and the clubs that they are part of. Since coming back from the Peace Corps, I've been quite conflicted about the responsibility to be aware of the suffering and need in our own community as well as in other parts of the world, and really figuring out how do we steward whatever resources we have at our disposal and the privileges that we enjoy here in the South Bay to help others. And so I was really inspired by how our TUSD student clubs are really making efforts to make the world a better place and being aware of what's happening in other countries, in North Korea and all of these places that maybe they have some sort of connection to, but many who don't, and that it takes a lot to not be numb to the parts, the suffering and whatever that's happening around the world. So I just wanted to recognize our students for stepping out, and hopefully this will just be the beginning of them becoming more equipped to make an even bigger difference as they go on to college and professionally as well. So
Good comments. Is there a motion to approve this item of 15.7?
So moved.
seconded.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries for item number 15.7. Now on to 16.3, approval for independent contractor Solution Tree, Inc. to provide professional development workshops for administrators and teachers.
Yeah, so my questions were just what kind of professional development will Solution Tree be providing?
Good, thank you.
Mhm.
So just a little bit of back history. We have been very dedicated and have for years have gone through the PLC training process. Kind of the learning by doing is the book that's kind of the impetus of this. And we're at a place where we've given everybody the basics, plus 101, 201, kind of 301. And we're at a place now where we're differentiating. So through our LCAP process and the conversation with principals, they've been bringing out certain topics that they now want to get advanced training on. And so we took those topics and then have been having conversation on Solution Tree to provide differentiated professional development for our administrators. So currently then these are 3 different topics that for this first set of trainings, they're giving about a 2-hour professional development workshop on what our people are asking for. So they not only is the topic provided by the administrators, but then we solicit their asks on that topic, and then we work with Solution Tree on catering it to us. So it's not a existing training, but we hire the person to come in and give this training. I think just one additional piece is then the conversation that we had with the principals, they said, well, we may want this, but we have other people, maybe it's a PLC team, my leadership team that need that. And so the additional piece that they helped design is that we purchase the rights to record the session, and then for the next 30 days, then that video is available for our principals to then go back to their sites and utilize with their staff, PLC teams or entire staff or leadership teams at the sites. So just the topics right now are advanced data analysis, how to use that data and have active instructional conversations, how to kind of simplify the response to intervention process, how to better help those kids in need. And then we still have people who are struggling with kicking off and getting all of their teams in the PLC process the way that they did. So it's kind of a coming out of COVID, how do we spark and restart the process? So those are the three main topics that are the focus.
And a related question is, how are we able to sort of monitor and evaluate the impact of our professional development? How are we seeing if this is actually making a difference in how prepared our staff feel?
Right. So great question. And I know even tomorrow and Wednesday with our elementary principal meetings, so that Dr. Kim and Dr. Egan, we've written some reflective questions that we're gonna have conversation as part of our own kind of professional development during principal meetings. And then starting next week, our principals are going to be doing what we've kind of anointed as the 15-minute meeting, but they have to kind of give a concise, and they're going to do it in groups of 4. So it's really an hour, but they each get 15 minutes where they're coming and they're providing us the data and information on how it's going at their site. So kind of in multi facets. Additionally, every ed services team member, we divide up and we all have schools that we are working with. And so we actually are there meeting with the principals, participate, or I would say we're participating. We're supposed to be kind of silent observers, but we're at their leadership team meetings, going on PLC, visits with them and then being able to have that conversation so we can help assess and analyze as well.
Thank you. I move to approve 16.3.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and that will be it for the consent agenda items. Item number 20 are information such as the board calendar, the revisions to the administrative regulations, and the Williams reporting requirements. 21, comments from members of the Board of Education. Report from the board representative to the Southern California Regional Occupational Center. Mr. Han?
There's nothing to report. We couldn't have made a quorum for our last meeting, so we had to skip the last meeting. So we'll be having our meeting this month. It's a couple of weeks, so nothing to report.
21.2, Dr. Gerson, for your CSBA delegate report.
No CSBA delegate report.
Okay. And then 21.3, other comments from the board will go in order. Dr. Mohammed.
Thank you so much, President Liu. First of all, I just wanted to say that it feels good to be in a boardroom. It's good. So from the last time I remember, what it looked like. So yeah, first meeting. So anyways, I just wanted to congratulate and welcome Mr. Han. Thank you for joining our meeting and just doing a great job in your presentation. So keep it up. And I also wanted to congratulate our girls volleyball team for winning the CIF championship. I know you touched on that, so thank you for doing that. And then also our TEF, our Education Foundation, they really do give a lot to our schools, and we just can't be thankful to them, right? And so I know they dropped a couple of checks off, so that's just appreciate all of their hard work that they do even through the COVID pandemic. So I'm very recognized for that. And thank you, Dr. Stowe, for setting up the student advisory group. I think that's a good thing for us, and really gives our students an opportunity to share feedback directly to you, which I think it's great. So thank you for setting that up, and I'd love to see how that kind of goes, and some feedback on that. Lastly, just love the early college prep, and just I hope that we can get that into all of our high schools as soon as possible, because it's just a great program, and providing access to college on our campuses, I think is just phenomenal. So keep it up. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Trustee Park, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just echo a lot of what Dr. Mohammed mentioned. I also wanted to express appreciation for the respectful tone of our public comments, and just I know that there are a lot of emotions, and it takes a lot to be able to prepare comments and come here and speak in a way that that is very so respectful and clear. And I really wanted to express my appreciation. And I came across a quote a while back that has been running around in my head. It's that just because someone is angry or expresses views that you might not agree with, it doesn't make them crazy or dangerous. So I just wanted to kind of reflect upon the ways that we are maybe characterizing one another in this light of not being able to communicate with one another. And I think our board meetings are an example of we are able to communicate with one another if we come with this groundwork of respect, and really wanting to show civility to one another. And I just also wanted to commend Dr. Stowe for convening the student advisory board, and really wanted to, again, encourage students and families to also encourage their students to apply and get involved and really understand what civic participation looks like. And I know that our district is also doing that with our local city government as well. And so I hope that there are more opportunities for our students, even younger students, not just high school age, but also in elementary and middle school, to understand what does it look like to understand the issues that your generation, your age group, your peers are facing, and how do you communicate with those who are making decisions, or how do you yourself be in positions where you can make those decisions or provide input. So I think that Torrance is doing a great job at making sure that democracy is being protected, and hope that we can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Park. Dr. Gerson, do you have any comments?
Yes. President Liu, I get to say that one more time.
I'm still president until the beginning of December. Although this is the last board meeting I'm presiding over.
Since I got chastised for saying it earlier, I'll repeat. It'd be great to have a little step stool for our littlest speakers. They were all so cute, and we'd love to see their faces. So hopefully we can do something about that. Since it is the first time in the room, I understand why that would be a surprise. I know you said more pictures are coming. I hope there'll be a rotation of pictures too, so they don't get stale, or a student doesn't come back with her child and go, oh, look, there's a picture of me on the wall.
With consent.
Yes, I actually addressed that with Dr. Stowe. I did the exact same thing earlier.
That's funny.
There's definitely consent for sure.
Yes.
Specific consent for these, in addition to the general consent that we all signed up for earlier in the year. Thank you.
Yes. So building a little bit on what Ms. Park said, I don't want to repeat what any of my colleagues have said, but we're not allowed to take action on anything discussed in non-agenda, but I know that the cabinet sometimes responds to community members. And I was just thinking that based on the number of community members who seem to have a misunderstanding that perhaps the district would want to communicate more widely, that the issue of a vaccine mandate is not before this board and is not coming before this board as far as I'm aware of. That maybe a press release or communication could be considered to the community to quell some rumors or misinformation being sent out, because a lot of people, reasonable people who I know, people who I've gone to high school with, thinking that this is happening. And it's not. I know that I've talked to a few people in person, on the phone, by email, and a lot of them think this. And when I explain, we're not discussing. I know LA Unified did, but we haven't been discussing it, and it's not before us, and they're surprised to hear that. Agenda item 15.8 was us once again supporting Students in Government Day, encouraging all 8th graders to participate through their social studies class, and appreciative. This is one of the things that the city of Torrance actually does. And it's very beneficial for our students to be able to go down to City Hall, interact with whether it's a city staff member or a city council member, and really get a glimpse of the other publicly elected board in the city. And I would like to make one other comment. So I want to commend the Torrance Teachers Association. So they issued a memo on November 5th about professional development options for November 12th. To me, this is the kind of action that makes TTA a valuable organization for its members and a good collaborative partner with the district. From my perspective, TTA identified a concern from its members, collaborated with the district, and gave expert information to its membership, filling what could be described as a communication gap. Since I was critical of them, their last memo that took pot shots at the board to gain political points with some segments of its membership, it seems that I want to acknowledge when I see real professionalism and real leadership like this. I hope to see this type of guidance and leadership in the future. It makes me feel proud to be a part of Torrance Unified when I see different stakeholder groups moving us forward as a professional organization. And so I just want to thank them for a job well done.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Gerson. Vice President Han.
Just a couple of comments. I think, again, I want to reiterate my congratulations to Torrance Adult School. That last board meeting, that last meeting is not easy. And so they did a stellar job. And so, again, just so impressed by all the staff and the teachers there, is give us an opportunity to see them face to face on Zoom. And just to see them and to see the praise that the last team came back with for our staff and teachers, it was just absolutely amazing. And I think it's a testimony to why there's so much success amongst our adult school. And again, something that we always maybe overlook or not really think about so often. But again, Wayne did a great job and this whole staff. And so again, thank you for making Torrance look great again before these people. So I want to express my gratitude to them for that. I also want to again congratulate our STEAM Invention Convention. I thought that's a great STEM Invention Convention. What a great name, right? I'm so proud, especially the little girl that came up with that invention. I was thinking to myself, it'd be great if she can play the violin for us one time in here, just so that we can hear her. She's that smart. I'm sure she's just as good on the violin. So, but again, I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for this STEM convention, invention convention. And I think one of the things is college has changed now. And one of the things that they look for is national recognition events where kids excel nationally. So we can have those kind of events where it will help them look better on their application. Why not? To create an environment where they can excel nationally so they can see how we can show off to the world how stellar our students are. So thank you for those two, the resource teachers who have done an amazing job making this happen. The fact that they asked us, hey, you guys should do your own regional, just again, testifies again to the quality of what we're doing amongst our teachers as well as amongst our students as well. Another thing I kind of wanted to mention is that this is a rebuke on me. I think I got to do a better job following up the things that we suggest. So when we make a comment in the board meeting, it's important that we follow up on things, So for example, the seal of biliteracy, we talked about student government and civic engagement, right? We just came out with this new seal of biliteracy. And I'm not sure how that's going. Oh, civic engagement, Yeah, oh, sorry, civil engagement, the seal of civil engagement, I'm sorry. And I'm not sure how that role has been going out, how the turnout's been. So again, I haven't heard anything from Torrance High School or other schools about how that is going. I hope it's going well. And so it'd be nice so that we can follow up. I think we need to follow up because of the fact that this is just a great program. We talked about the Superintendent Advisory Committee, student government. And I think that this is the thing that we really want the kids to get into, the seal of civil engagement. And so if we can get an update in our next meeting, just to say, hey, this is how many people signed up, this is what it looks like, I think it'll be great. And if it's low numbers, we got to figure out how can we communicate this better? I would love to be an advocate for this for our students, since this is a brand new thing that we are engaging in. And so I think this is one of the things that we always forget to do is we come up with these great ideas, but we don't really follow up. The second thing I wanted to follow up on was a couple of board meetings ago, I talked about how do we evaluate mental health and how the students are doing behaviorally, right? We talked about that. We talked about academic progress, but we didn't talk about the mental well state being. And I don't know what we came up with. We never got a response or an idea of how are we tracking this. I think one of my concerns is right now, we have so many suspensions and so many expulsions right now. And so obviously things are going on in the kids. And I think that I don't know how we're addressing that issue so that we don't have to have all these expulsions or suspension. I don't want Dr. Pearson and Dr. Egan to be so busy doing all these things. So is there a way we could prevent this? I don't know what we can do. I don't know how we measure this. I don't know what it looks like, but it's something that we really need to get a hold on, especially in the midst of this pandemic. And so I wanted to make sure that the things that I suggested that I followed up with, and those are the two things, was the seal of civil engagement is something that we're very passionate about, and that this mental well-being of the students. How do we measure that? How do we engage that? How do we follow, and how do we see that worked out? And so I don't know, but it's something to, again, rethink and to figure out, especially as we see all these expulsions coming through. Last but not least, I want to again congratulate Tim and Dr. Stowe, Dr. Butler, and Dr. Crumpy. Just for everyone out there, they have done an amazing job during this whole pandemic. And so I want to recognize that. What we did today was ratified, but you guys are well deserving, even that much more. If we can do more, we could. I wish we could do more for you guys. That's how much you guys are deserving of what we came to. And I appreciate all of you guys. You guys make us look smart, even though I'm not that smart. And so thank you just for all that you have done. And we are truly grateful for your service and for your heart regarding these things. Another factor tomorrow, before I forget, Ian, tomorrow is, what time is the game tomorrow for Torrance volleyball for state? We're going to state tomorrow, 6 o'clock at, oh, it's at Torrance High, 6 o'clock at Torrance High. So tomorrow our state girls are going to be playing, Torrance High School is going to be playing as for state tomorrow at 6 o'clock. These girls have been fantastic. That last, yeah, I see the game last week, this past couple of days ago, just crazy. It's the past Saturday, absolutely nuts. Girls were so resilient. And so if you can, Tuesday, tomorrow at Torrance High School, our girls volleyball is playing in the States, as well as all our football teams. Again, good luck for all the football teams as they're going on and they're pursuing. Yeah, only Torrance High. No, for football. Anyway, so yeah, Torrance is the best. That's why I love to say Torrance, bro. You gotta say Torrance, bro. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just kidding. But in that way, just for, again, root for Torrance. It's been a great year, and it's been fantastic to watch all the students come out. And so I want to say also, I'm very proud of my son. I have to say it. Because, I have to say it, but it's wonderful. I was looking forward to this moment. It's just a magical moment to see and sit down. I told my wife to take pictures. It's a proud moment, and I hope that you continue to excel, and that that you've learned a lot. You get best people to learn from. So I'm proud of you. You did a great job today, and I want to encourage you to continue and to succeed, and always be civically engaged, no matter what, as you grow up, to always give back to the community, no matter what you do. And last but not least, I want to say thank you to President Liu. You have led us through a crazy year, crazy year. And you did it with such dignity and with such grace, and yet with such sternness. I didn't know you could be so mean sometimes. But absolutely with sternness, with dignity, and with grace. And I think that you really showed of the best of us this past year. So I want to personally express my gratitude for all that you have done this past year. And I know it wasn't easy, so hats off to you. I want to make sure I say something. Thank you. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President Han. I didn't expect it coming. And speaking of seal of civic engagement, I want to point out that in consent item 15.8, we approved an 8th grade student, approved our 8th grade students to participate in the City of Torrance at the annual Student and Government Day. What this program is, the city puts it on every year, and approximately 18 selected 8th grade students will be representing our 8 middle schools to learn what it's like to be a city, to work at a city and also to be a city council member. The intent of this program, they stated, is to invest in the city's youth by developing an effective civics education program. And I really, like this program. And, I think it's important that our students learn the mechanics of self-governance and participation at the local level, very much like what Vice President Han said. He encourages his son Ian and everybody else, all their students, to continue on working for your community and get involved in politics. So for you parents out there, if you have an 8th grade kid, definitely apply for this wonderful program. I want to mention that this Thursday is Veterans Day. I want to extend our gratitude to all our veterans, especially those veteran employees of ours for their public service. And another item on the consent agenda tonight, I'm very excited, is the new photography 1 class and a revised wood design 1 class in our high school curriculum. I took photography myself when I was in high school and I loved it. And I was not able to get into the wood shop or wood design class. So high school students, I would think that you're going to enjoy these classes. So make sure to sign up before they fill up. Congratulations to Mrs. Terry Fury for her appointment to a 3-year term as a classified employee organizations representative commencing in December 1st of this year. I'd like to point out that she was also a former educator here in our district for many years before she retired, and she is still active in her education community by being on the board of Torrance Education Foundation. And as I've announced in the last meeting and also earlier by the president of Torrance Council PTA, community people have been donating costumes to our homeless and foster students. And Mrs. Ferry is one of them. Thank you. And last but never least is the anniversaries for our classified employees. For our 10 years of accredited service, congratulations to Herman Powell in the Transportation Department, Jill Tomita in Arlington Elementary School, Perry Walker at Magruder Middle School. And for our 15 years of accredited service, we have a very special employee named Tamina Khan at the superintendent's office, Madam Shelley Morse at the superintendent's office, and Michelle Valderan at Arnold Elementary School. So congratulations to all of you. With nothing further, I can use a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's 10:15. Anyone wants to move? Make a motion.
Can we do, I can do the memory of? Can I make a suggestion?
I'm not sure if that's open information yet. Are you talking about this?
Yes, okay.
I was gonna
Okay,
do that,
thank you,
but I
okay.
didn't want to do it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I just want to make
I
sure,
think
just making
we-
sure, yes,
We
okay.
might want to talk to the family first before we do that.
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank
Good night, everyone.